So my question to you is this: when we're talking in actual families, real people,
of the race in this
why
country?
are we talking in percentages instead of real numbers when we're dealing with real people?
Okay, because percentages are real numbers.
No, percentages, dude, that don't even make sense.
Yes, it does.
Percentages are not real numbers.
Yes, they are.
No, they are not.
The main majority of race in this country.
Yes, they are.
White
percentages are not real numbers. Real numbers would be
percentages
0 through 9. Those are real numbers.
I understand that this may be. I understand that this may be difficult, but percentages are real numbers.
I'm gonna have to tell you that if you have to take a percentage of a number, then you're not talking about raw data. You're not talking about
our percentages
numbers, and we
use percentage to pay our taxes.
Percentages
they are real numbers.
Oh my motherfucking God!
How do it equivalate?
Because there are a lot of people in this country who do not like Black women, but Black women are the base of the Democratic Party.
Take control. Take control of your city.
These blacks.
Culture and Politics Review. Good day, sir. How you doing?
I don't even think I use that whole title anymore. I dropped that years ago.
Well, you're welcome. I brought it back.
I firmly believe you cannot get a handle on crime in these major Black cities without what you would effectively call a fascist takeover.
Damn.
I told you.
Damn. So you really believe that we're gonna have to institutionalize a whole city to get crime down? And for how long should we turn a whole Black city into a prison? How long? Because that's what you're saying. What up, Wall Street Willie? Essentially, what you're saying is that we got to turn Black cities into a walking, living prison. Good day to you, Joy. Joy Israel Online. Good day to you. Thank you so much for showing me so much love. Thank you, Joy. Go ahead.
It probably wouldn't be as harsh as you make it sound, but I mean, I don't think Washington, D.C. is a walking, living prison.
I mean, for those 2 weeks, you could say it was because they was harassing people. They had a whole bunch of police officers on the street. Businesses suffered because there was nobody outside. It wasn't as much money flowing in the city. However, crime did go down because most people were inside. We got to understand how dense these places are, and for you to get crime down, you got to keep people inside. So if we are going to turn this into a state like how you say, or a city like how you say, we're going to have to keep majority of those people in that city inside, and essentially you're turning it into like a prison city or a prison state.
Well, over the weekend, there was just about 52 individual shootings in Chicago, maybe 2 or 3 mass shootings together, right? People just caught in drive-bys and whatnot. People was out partying Labor Day weekend. So people like literally sprayed the crowd up, right? You can't get a hold on that with hopes and wishes, bro.
Okay, so that's a fair argument. But the other issue, we cannot say that we gotta lock down a whole city because of a one bad egg too.
Well, technically, we could both be accused of making a fear argument. What are you more afraid of? Organized or even worse, disorganized crime? Because disorganized crime is really a threat. Organized crime probably lives right next to you and you would never know it. But the disorganized crime, are you more afraid of that or the National Guard?
I'm more afraid of the National Guard because I believe it's taking away people's freedoms. And once we start taking away people's freedom, it's going to turn into where we control everything. It's going to gradually get deeper and deeper the more we go down that rabbit hole. And I'm afraid of where it can go to.
The freedom to do what? See, we had this discussion last time around, and I asked you exactly what rights have been violated. As of yet, I don't think any claims about civil rights violations have sprung out in DC. So your theoretical rights violations are exactly that, entirely theoretical.
I hear that. That's a solid argument. However, when you confining people to be inside because they are afraid to come outside because they are going to get harassed, that's where the slippery slope starts.
I think 52 shootings over the weekend would do a lot more to confine people to their home. You think if you're an old lady, you feel safe walking the street knowing that 52 people were shot randomly in your town? You think that's going to keep you? I guarantee you the National Guard would get more old ladies walking the street and sitting in the park than those 52 shootings.
Right, and this is where we disagree at. And majority of the people are not afraid to walk around in the street because the population got denser in a place like Chicago, since this is what we're talking about. It got denser and the crime rate didn't raise up with the population. It pretty much plateaued at the same limb. So that shows that it is just the poverty is that's pushing out the crime. It's not the actual people. So crime rate stayed the same, population went up. So it's not as dangerous as we make it seem. It's just that when something so offensive like the one that you just brought up, 20 people or, these shootings that an innocent bystander get shot, is crazy. And we're going to see it and we're going to overreact. But we only overreact when it's us. Nobody's is actually overreacting over goddamn Robin that shot up a school because he had to praise,
You would overreact when it's your children, when it's your people. Yes, you care more when it's your people. So I would care less about white guys shooting up a white school compared to black kids shooting up a neighborhood or a black school or whatever. I would care less because you know what? I'm less likely to get caught up in a white guy doing a white school shooting. It's probably not going to touch me. But you niggas, I might have to smoke one of you niggas one day. That affects me.
And so, but the problem is, Hood, if it stayed the way how you said that we all was policing ourselves, and then I think I would agree with you. The problem is they are not just keeping it to themselves. We got people of all other genres make it seem like we are the most violent people in America. So it ain't just staying within our community that we are worried about ourselves. Other people's worrying about us that don't even live in our neighborhood and acting as if this high crime rate of these shootouts is going into their suburban neighborhoods by us, and it's not true.
Are we pretending now that the black neighborhoods, generally speaking, are not the most crime-ridden neighborhoods? The highest violent crime is in the black neighborhoods. Are we going to act like that's not true?
No, we're not saying that at all.
So if the highest amount of violent crime is in the black neighborhood, are like white men from the suburbs importing white crimes to the black neighborhood to fluff up the numbers?
No. So what we're saying.
So who's responsible for the numbers of violent crime in the black neighborhoods, if not for the black people who live there?
Right. So black folks fighting other black folks over poverty, we understand that as a problem. And we as people that live there, we should be the ones that's solving that problem. However,
poverty isn't the question though.
Yeah, right, because but poverty and crime go hand in hand.
But who commits the most crime? Who commits the most violent crime?
Who commits the most violent crimes in America?
Yeah, as a group.
White people. White men.
Statistically?
Yes.
I think numerically you might be onto something because there's a greater percentage. So on a 1-for-1. But again, it's not the white neighborhoods that are full of violent crime, is it? How come white neighborhoods aren't known for being violent crime-ridden places?
Right, because we do not allow the truth to come out. We broke down the percentage. Even people in the chat put the percentage out there. 57% of violent crimes in America are committed by white men. 57%.
And what's the population density for white men versus black men?
The population density for white folks, I believe they are second. So I believe they around roughly like 40. They below 50%.
So their numbers roughly match their densities, not totally far off. So if you were to do black men, you think that would be the same relatively?
Black men are at a 39%. I believe that's what we've seen. It was 39%.
Compared to our 6% population density?
Right, but also I want you to add one more stat to it. Also, we are also 50% of being wrongfully accused as well.
Yeah, but like one dude every year gets out of jail for that. And I think we're kind of passing that wave. I think we had a nice glut of those guys, and we're passing that wave of DNA getting people out of jail. There's only you don't have like 100 guys every day getting off because of that.
So what I'm saying is that I don't want you to negate the fact that even though it's 39%, don't forget that 50% of them are getting off. So therefore, we got to really break that 39% to something else with what is half of 39%.
So my question to you is this: when we're talking in actual families, real people, why are we talking in percentages instead of real numbers when we're dealing with real people?
Okay, because percentages are real numbers.
No, percentages, dude, that don't even make sense.
Yes, it does.
Percentages are not real numbers.
Yes, they are.
No, they are not.
The main majority of race in this country.
Yes, they are.
White
percentages are not real numbers. Real numbers would be
percentages
0 through 9. Those are real numbers.
I understand that this may be difficult, but percentages are real numbers.
I'm gonna have to tell you that if you have to take a percentage of a number, then you're not talking about raw data. You're not talking about
our percentages
numbers, and we
use percentage to pay our taxes. They are real numbers.
Oh my motherfucking God!
How do it equivalate?
None of these niggas have motion except for me. There has to be one real nigga left in America, in this damn country.
And we greatly appreciate the surge of officers that enhance what MPD has been able to do in this city. The most significant thing that we are highlighting today is the area of crime that was most troubling for us in 2023. Now, we have driven it down over the last years, but I'm going to get my glasses so I can make sure I can see it correctly. But for carjackings, the difference between this period, this 20-day period of this federal surge and last year represents a 87% reduction in carjackings in Washington, D.C. We know that when carjackings go down, when the use of gun goes down, when homicide or robbery go down, neighborhoods feel safer and are safer. So this surge has been important to us for that reason.
As for Chicago and cracking down on crime, it is a priority of this administration to ensure that American cities are safe again. And I'm so glad that you brought up the crime in Chicago, because we've been seeing the governor of Illinois parading out there saying that there's nothing wrong with Chicago. It's a great place to live. There's no crime there. He doesn't need President Trump's help. Well, I think the residents of Chicago beg to differ, and the statistics beg to differ. And I'll just share a few of those statistics with all of you. For 13 consecutive years, Chicago has had the most murders of any U.S. city. This is J.B. Pritzker's legacy, by the way. For 7 consecutive years, Chicago has had the highest murder rate among U.S. cities with more than 1 million people. In 2024, just last year, Chicago's murder rate per capita was 3 times higher than Los Angeles and nearly 5 times higher than New York City. That's more than double the murder rate in Islamabad and nearly 15 times more than Delhi. Out of Chicago's 147,899 reported crimes this year, that's how many crimes have been reported in Chicago since January 1st. There have only been arrests in 16 of them. These numbers are unacceptable. There have been more illegal guns recovered in Chicago than in New York City and Los Angeles combined. The number of reported motor vehicle thefts last year was more than double the number in 2021. And Chicago has also, just like DC, come under scrutiny over discrepancies in its homicide data reporting. So as bad as these numbers are, perhaps they are even worse. And this is Governor Pritzker's legacy. He should put politics aside. He should pick up the phone and call this president, who would be more than happy to do right by law-abiding American residents in the city of Chicago, and we hope that he will.
I just woke up to some tragic news, and I want to send out condolences out to the family on behalf of Chicago Flips Red. I just received news that between sundown Saturday and sunrise today, 25 people were shot across Chicago. 3 of them lost their lives. Nearly half of the victims were targeted in a pair of mass shootings, both involving drive-by gunmen who opened fire on a large crowd. With one of the mass shootings, this report comes from Chi-Town Crime Chaser. Big ups to him. This happened on 36th and State, mass shooting, 5 people shot. Chicago police are investigating a mass shooting that left 5 people wounded at an after party overnight. CPD was merely monitoring a large after party, which started at another nearby location, celebrating Stateway Gardens Project reunion. Shots were fired at the party, which made CPD call in a 10-1 emergency, prompting a large response from multiple districts. CPD located several gunshot victims on the scene. Some self-reported to the hospitals. CPD found a rifle in the passenger seat of a car. This is what I've been saying on every platform that I've been on. When I went on CNN on the Victor Blackwell show, when he started telling me about the crime statistics and how they're down, and I keep telling these people, you can't tell us that crime is down because we're experiencing what's going on in our communities. You can't tell us what's going on. We know what's happening. We know how dangerous it is. We know that it's not safe. And you want us to listen to Pritzker and Brandon Johnson. Now, Pritzker told us how safe our communities was while he was downtown on the boat. And you want us to listen to him. You want us to listen to Brandon Johnson, who have 150 police detail that's protecting his family, his kids, his wife, and him. And you want us to listen to those people tell us that crime is down in our communities when this is 6 mass shootings in the span of 2 months. So yes, we need help. President Trump, we welcome you to Chicago to help our communities and our streets and our city and state become safer. Yes, we welcome you. And we are going to hold these elected officials. We're going to hold all of these Democrats accountable for what they did and what they're doing come election day. So I just want to send my deepest condolences out to the family. And yeah, I just, enough is enough. We are tired and we want our streets safe.
Right now, I'm a person that lives on the south side of Chicago, and the migrants that have come in, at one point they were coming in, we were feeling very sorry for them because they came in at a time where the weather was cold. So we're seeing all these people in tents and all this and that. But then we find out that they're getting $15,000 in food stamps, $5,000 in cash. I work for a company, which I will not say, that they're able to come in and they're able to get internet and Wi-Fi and all of this for free because guess what? The government paying their rent for 2 years? Why is the government paying people that came from another country rent for 2 years? Can we explain that? Because it's a housing crisis right now with multiple homeless people on the streets right now that I could follow and show you homeless people that's been living on the streets. So what makes the migrants better from coming to another country that they get all of this? Do you know why? I'm going to say why. Because we're about to have another presidential election. So if we make these migrants democratic and we give them the right to vote and we give them all of these things, they're going to vote, and then boom.
So Donald Trump wants to bring his chaos to Illinois. This is all about his own ego and his need to be the center of attention. In fact, he says that Black women in Chicago are begging him to come help. Well, as a Black woman and a Chicagoan, let me just say this: we don't want you here. So Donald Trump wants to bring his chaos to Illinois. This is all about his own ego and his need to be the center of attention. In fact, he says that Black women in Chicago are begging him to come help. Well, as a Black woman and a Chicagoan, let me just say this: we don't want you here.
Of course, now you have Chicago politicians bragging, talking about, no, the crime is down. The crime is down. Maybe by fucking Whole Foods where you shop, but not in the south side of Chicago, where people are still ducking and dodging bullets and can't even check their goddamn mail. This is what I was saying 2 weeks ago when I said these democratic cities invest in crime. And every liberal in my comment section was like, you said the wrong word. You said it better. You did it better. You said it better. You said it better. They're investing in crime. There's no progress. They want the crime to fucking continue. That's obvious. Talking about you're investing positively in the communities. You're investing in fucking excuses. You have communities like Westside where there's people who are purposely going out asking for help. Trump said the other day, there's a beautiful African-American woman coming to me, asking me like, hey, can you please come help us in Chicago? We need help. Crime is at an all-time high. Please help us. Governor's like, oh, no, we're okay. The mayor's like, don't send help. How dare you? We don't need no help. Let the crime continue. Let the crime continue. The gaslighting is at an all-time high. You are willing to put your community at risk because you hate Trump that fucking bad. No, what's going to happen is he's going to call out your fucking mismanagement. He's going to call out your fucking bullshit. He's going to call out your corruption. That's what he's doing. These democratic cities think this is some type of game. Every time a criminal is in jail, they're like, oh, you're fucking racist. Every time the National Guard comes in to fucking sweep their shit up, oh, that's illegal. Yet and still, you got the community out here, please help us. We need help. We want to live. We're tired of dodging fucking bullets. Trying to bamboozle the public. We know the truth. The communities are speaking for themselves. We couldn't care less what's on the goddamn paper. You democratic cities are trash, and you continuously invest in fucking crime.
Today, you hardly see a police car in a neighborhood.
Declan Morgan has owned and operated Irish Nobleman Pub in Westtown for more than 20 years. Yet in recent years, violent crime has literally walked through the front door.
Hands up, hands up, hands up, hands up.
This is video from the bar from when the armed robbery crew came in right before closing, taking cash and belongings from customers, employees, and the pub.
It just seems like crime is really out of control right now.
He and many in the neighborhood contributed to the closure of that police station, and cops in the 12th district now stationed so far away.
We're 600 north here. We're by Chicago Avenue, and our police district is in Pilsen. Mayor Johnson's more worried about his school board and his, pension stuff that he's working on. He should be worried more about the, neighborhoods in Chicago. Today, you hardly see a police car in a neighborhood. So.
Declan Morgan has
The federal government should spend that money on proven solutions to crime and violence reduction. We cannot incarcerate our way out of violence. We've already tried that, and we've ended up with the largest prison population in the world without solving the problems of crime and violence. The addiction on jails and incarceration in this country, we have moved past that. It is racist, it is immoral, it is unholy, and it is not the way to drive violence down. We cannot return to the same failed strategies that got us here in the first place. Under the previous presidential administration, we requested more federal resources to address gun violence in our city. We continue to make that same call. We have made significant progress on our own, but there is so much more that we can do if we had real support from the federal government. Our communities need more federal resources for public safety. There's no question about that. But unsolicited, unwarranted military takeover is not needed.
We hope that they don't send any troops along with ICE. And if they do, they'll be in court pretty quickly because that is illegal. Posse Comitatus does not allow U.S. troops into U.S. cities to do, to fight crime, to be involved in law enforcement. That's not their job.
If they're doing federal immigration work, a judge might say, if they're protecting those federal agents, that's okay. I mean, you'll just fight that in court as long as you can.
Well, National Guard troops, any kind of troops on the streets of an American city don't belong unless there is an insurrection, unless there is truly an emergency. There is not. We hope that they don't send any troops along unless there is an insurrection, unless there is truly an emergency. There is.
Labor Day weekend in Chicago as President Trump continues to set his eye on the city, threatening to send in the National Guard as early as this week. At least 52 people have been shot in Chicago over the Labor Day weekend. 7 of those victims died.
The violence included 3 mass shootings that happened at Haddon in California, in Chicago's Humboldt Park neighborhood, and 2 in Chicago's Bronzeville neighborhood, 35th and State and 36th and Cottage Grove. ABC 7's Jasmine Miner talked to people in Bronzeville about concerns about 2 mass shootings happening within 48 hours.
Many here in Bronzeville describe the neighborhood as on the come up, and they say they're not going to let the violence stop the positive work they're doing. For one woman, that means keeping kids healthy, active, and on the field.
Come on. We're gonna push through because it disservices the kids.
Alexis Hawthorne, owner of the top-tier university football youth program, says even gun violence won't keep her from serving kids in need. Their practice comes just a few hours and down the road from a mass shooting early this morning. 5 people were shot near 36th and Cottage Grove near Ellis Park, including a 17-year-old who is in critical condition.
At the end of the day, to have one person that was critically injured and 4 folks in the hospital, whatever the situation was, it was senseless.
It is the second mass shooting in Bronzeville in the last 48 hours. The other happened on Saturday night near 35th and State, where 7 people were hurt during a drive-by. Those like Alderman Pat Howell are taking action, telling ABC 7 in a statement, "I have long asked for additional police manpower to deal with large illegal gatherings and pop-up parties that routinely occur throughout the Bronzeville neighborhood." It follows Mayor Brandon Johnson signing an executive order this week to avoid the Trump administration from sending the National Guard into the streets of Chicago.
Us as people, we can come together and fix it out on our own. We don't need no one to come here and, wreck shack our community.
Others think the troops could help.
I got kids and I want to see the community better. I run every day out here. I exercise out here. So for the street to be safer, I think it's really good.
But Hawthorne says her football program does just that. Teaching kids a healthier way to have fun.
We're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that these kids have somewhere to come.
Alderman Lamont Robinson tells ABC 7 that Chicago police do have 1 person in custody from the shooting this morning.
Concern is you have leaders in Chicago that see this, as you say. We've been reading about this for years now. every weekend. And maybe crime has gone down. But, we had the mayor of Chicago on last week saying, oh, we don't need any more police officers. Police officers aren't the answer. No police officers. I think he said no 5 times. You look what's happening this weekend. You look so, I actually think that J.B. Pritzker should do something radical. I think he should pick up the phone, call the president, and say, and I know you don't have the constitutional authority to deploy the National Guard here and to police my. You can do that in D.C. You can't do that in Chicago. But let's partner up. These are the most dangerous parts of my state. We would love to figure out how to have a partnership that's constitutional, that respects the sort of balance of federalism between the federal government and the state government. And let's work together to save lives. Because right now, just hey, nothing to see here moving along. No problem here. Hey, Donald Trump, we don't need you. And, the mayor talking about we're going to protect people's dignity in our city. Well, protect their lives. That's protecting their dignity. It would be radical for us to figure out a way to actually do what I've been saying from the very beginning on Washington, and that is seeing politicians creating partnerships that protect their people.
Yeah.
Would you also like to get federal funding to help put 5,000 more cops on the street in Chicago? Would that help drive down crime?
Well, look, policing by itself is not the full strategy.
No, I understand that. You've talked about the other things you want, and I said those are good and important programs, but I'm asking also, would 5,000 more police officers on the street in Chicago be helpful to go along with all of those social programs that a lot of cities are engaging in and having success with?
Well, look, here.
Mic check, mic check. Good morning, everybody. Hit that like button for me. I need at least one of you guys to like the video. Actually, I think my body count might be off. More than 52 people have apparently been shot in Chicago over the Labor Day weekend. And the question we have to now grapple with, can Black people get a handle on this on our own? It's not a secret where all the crime is. It's not a mystery who a lot of the suspects are, what they tend to look like. Young Black males, a couple of girls too. There's a handful of chicks out there wilding out. But now we seem to have this all hands on deck defense of Chicago because the mean white man is coming to bring law and order to a Black town.
This makes Jim Crow look like Jim Eagle.
And we just can't have the white man making these niggas act right. The white man is not allowed to force these niggas to act right.
Somebody had to do it. I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it.
And the problem is, even if you think that maybe we should back off and give those guys down there a chance to get their house in order, I don't know if they even know what it takes anymore. Freeman's Journal asked me a really great question the other day. Do you think there is a Black leader ruthless enough to actually save Black people? I don't think so.
These Blacks.
Here's the best way I can put it, Joe, is that in the 90s when I was in high school, we had 3,000 more police officers and we had 900 people being murdered every single year in Chicago. It's just not policing alone. Of course, we want more detectives.
I know it's not policing alone, but I know it's not policing alone. You've told me everything else you want. I'm curious, and this does come down to an ideological difference between people. Do you believe that the streets of Chicago would be safer if there were more uniformed police officers on the streets of Chicago?
I believe the city of Chicago and cities across America would be safer if we actually had, affordable housing. Look,
Okay,
I'm
but
not
that's
saying that we
not the
don't.
question I asked. My question is, and I just need a yes or a no, do you believe the streets of Chicago would be safer if you got all of those other extraordinary programs put back into place, which do have a history of being successful, if that's complemented by having 5,000 more cops on the streets of Chicago?
Joe Scarborough is in a very awkward civilizational position right here. One guy trying to explain to another guy. The obvious, the racial implications are plastered all over the screen right now. Let me make the implications a little bigger. There you go. The racial implications are completely evident in this one shot. Scarborough and his girl, Mika, they just want things to be nice, all right? They just want crime to go down. They would like for people to be able to walk even late at night in downtown Chicago without feeling threatened. They don't like the idea, even if it doesn't affect them as a white couple here. They don't like the idea of more than 50 people being shot over the weekend in a city like Chicago. And so they're trying to plead with this this black leader, whatever the hell that's supposed to mean.
These blacks.
Now they're trying to plead with this black leader. We will give you the programs. We will keep midnight basketball open until 4 o'clock in the morning if that's what you want. You want backpacks? We'll give you backpacks. You want extra food stamps? We'll give you extra food stamps. All right? You want a violence prevention program so you can give your cousin a job? We'll give you that. All we're asking for is to hire more police. Can you do that? We'll even pay for it. Can you do that?
I don't believe that we should narrow it down to just police officers, Joe, is what I'm saying. That is an antiquated approach. I'm saying we've invested in detectives.
Mr. Mayor, are you hearing what I'm saying? I'm agreeing with you that all of these other social programs are extraordinarily important. I just need a yes or a no, and then this will be the last time I ask. If you get all of those other social programs that 800 million that New York City does, Los Angeles, other people do with great success, would an additional 5,000 cops on the streets in Chicago help complement those programs to make Chicago safer?
Again, one more time. You want free turkeys? It's not even Thanksgiving, bro. We'll give out free turkeys, all right? We were going to save this for Thanksgiving, but there's always more turkey. We got you, free turkey. You want free crack pipe machines like they got in California? Fine. We will bring the free crack pipe machines over here. What is it do you want? What is it do you want? You want a welfare pass to get into Dorney Park or whatever amusement parks are in the Midwest? You want a welfare pass for the amusement parks? We'll give you all of that. You can swipe your EBT at any local amusement park. What else do you want? We'll give you all of that if you just hire more police, bro. Just give us more cops. That's all we want.
Look, we are working hard to make sure that our police department is fully supported. I don't believe that just simply putting out an arbitrary number around police officers is the answer. What I'm saying is policing and affordable housing. It's policing and mental and behavioral health care services. It's policing and youth employment. It's a full package. Of course, we want to make sure that our police department is fully supported. That's why I've invested in our Detectives Bureau, because what we have seen in the city of Chicago, when we solve crime, it acts and serves as a deterrent. It's policing and all of the other efforts that we're doing. Here's the last thing that I'll say to that. the federal government could work stronger to coordinate with my police department to get guns off the streets of Chicago. We've seen these coordination efforts work. Just a couple of weeks ago, the ATF working with my police department, we removed over 150 guns off the streets of Chicago that were trafficked in through Mississippi and Indiana. No one is saying that police officers don't play an incredible role in driving safety. They play an absolute pivotal role in that. But we have asked law enforcement to do too much. Police officers are being asked to be social workers, counselors. What I'm simply saying is, if we're going to build safe and affordable cities across America, the one thing that safe communities all have in common, they invest in people. We have a poverty issue in the city of Chicago and cities across America. Police officers alone will not put food on the table. Police officers alone will not guarantee a high quality education. Police officers alone won't drive down unemployment. We need all of it. The President of the United States of America and the federal government could restore Medicaid. They could restore SNAP. They could stop defunding our public education system. Here's the most important point here. Justice Brandeis, over 100 years ago, the first Jewish American.
I don't think black people have what it takes to get out of this hole, man.
It's a bad issue. It's bad. We need Walgreens. We need it because our medicine, we're seniors.
The second largest pharmacy store chain in the U.S. announced it's closing 5 stores by the end of February in neighborhoods on the city's south and west sides.
Walgreens they still trying to make their money, but they don't want to do it in the black and brown community.
In an emailed statement, a spokesperson for Walgreens says the most recent closures are a part of a previously announced business strategy.
It's a bad issue.
If crime is down, why are major businesses pulling out of your area? If everything is all cool and, you know, the rough black neighborhoods aren't as rough as you heard, then why is it that the major retailers are pulling out of these areas? Dick Dog with the $5 super chat. Remember those photos I emailed everyone of downtown Chicago? That's every day. Me and dirty folks know how bad it is, bro. Shout out to Dick Dog with the 5 ball. Shout out to you and dirty folks. And I'm familiar with the urban blight, and I know how bad it is. And it's not just Chicago. It's a lot of the black areas. And so-called black leadership, they don't like to talk about it.
What black community? It's a black environment with black women and black children in it.
How dare you say that we are not interested in families in the black community?
We are absolutely winning right now. Absolutely. We have done more than change the conversation. We changed the balance of power in the federal government.
And then shout out to TR McCoy with the $10 super chat. Shout out to you, Hood, for your tremendous content last night. You kept me so entertained for my entire day to early morning. Thank you so much for that. It was a long day, wasn't it? It was a long day. We had a lot going on. It was a lot of different things that happened on the show yesterday, man. But thank you so much for watching. If you're happy, I'm happy, man. Hit that like button. Be like TR McCoy, man. Smash that super chat button from me, y'all.
Hulk! Smash! Smash you! You make Hulk angry. You not like Hulk angry. Hulk no like fighting girls.
I was in Chicago, D.C. earlier this year. I'm in Atlanta right now, and I've not yet stepped in one single pool of blood. So I'm not sure what America and what major city Luke is referencing, and I'm not sure, even when I'm in New York City, what he's referencing.
Are you kidding?
And so with that being said...
Wait a minute. Okay, so you haven't stepped... Whoa. So you haven't stepped in a pool of blood. Okay, I'll be honest with you. Neither have I, thank God. But a lot of New Yorkers have, and a lot of people in Chicago have. You have seen the crime rates, right? I mean, Chicago alone. You want to talk about Chicago?
appalling.
52
Yes.
people shot this weekend alone. Last weekend, 26. 7 people killed. That's a pool of blood. That's 52 pools of blood. Maybe you didn't step in it, but I tell you, the crime rates and statistics are facts. Why are you saying that you haven't? I think that's irresponsible.
Let me answer it.
Black people have a very, very self-conscious difficulty in grappling with this obvious reality. Does everybody in the Black neighborhood go out shooting up the neighborhood? No, obviously not. But for whatever reason, these neighborhoods generate a high percentage of ridiculous amounts of violence, right? And those other Black people who probably don't get caught up in that kind of stuff have to live amongst it, and they have to put on psychological blinders to the, quote, pools of blood. So he may not step in them, but he avoids them because he knows they're there. And when it comes to solving community problems, you know, I believe the children are the future. You know, teach them well and let them lead the way. But you don't get to make the rules right now. That's later when you're like 40.
I would say I really don't know much about curfews because I wasn't one of those teens who would be outside for real. Like, I wasn't raised for that. But one thing I will say is that I wouldn't think that it would, because some people home, we trying to escape home. You know, teens try to escape home. So I feel like a curfew, it might belittle that, because while you trying to keep someone in the house, they could be with a safe spaces organization, with a staff, with your coworkers or something, you know? Like, I think, yeah.
Every one of those are governmental or quasi-governmental agencies, right? So what they're offering is, don't stay home with your family. Hang out with this government employee. I'll keep you safe.
Do you think that curfews work to help teens make better decisions? Because the city council right now is considering a proposal that would allow police to issue curfews.
This is effectively going to the jail and asking the inmates, do you think bars make the prison a safer place? And then the inmates are like, well, I don't feel as if this physical barrier actually does what you think it does in terms of keeping people safe. Maybe if we had more therapists and prison counselors, then that would truly make the prison a safer place to live. This is incredible. Brandon Johnson actually reached out to local teens to figure out what to do about the problem of local teens running amok all over the town.
Where to help prevent teen takeovers?
How I really feel about that, I just feel like if the city allow us to give kids something to do so they won't have to do teen takeovers, maybe that's the answer. Maybe we create programmers and give them jobs.
This is a nice town you got here. It'd be ashamed if a bunch of teenagers just ran over the place and shot it up and stole everything. You know how you stop that from happening? You know how you stop that? I have a great solution. This is how you stop the teenagers from running over the place and just shooting it up and ruining it for everybody. You give me money.
Give me the money, but I will do. Give me the money.
Give me programs, or I will be forced to do a teen takeover.
Like if the city allow us to give kids something to do so they won't have to do 10 takeovers. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe we create programmers and give them jobs so we can send peacekeepers to those events to keep the violence down and stuff like that. So I just really feel like we should focus more on giving them things to do in the summertime and stuff like that to keep them busy to where they don't have to feel like they got to plan 10 takeovers to have fun.
You know what a great question is? It's a tough question. I don't think I have a solution, but here's a great question. Why do we need quote unquote peacekeepers? Like UN guys with blue helmets. Like, why do we need UN peacekeepers at Black teenage events? Can we all ponder that for a moment? Why do we need blue helmeted UN peacekeepers at Black teenage gatherings?
How do it equivalate?
I'm signing an executive order today that will launch the Protecting Chicago initiative. This is a project that builds on the months of preparation that we have done that has led up to this very moment. This order affirms that the Chicago Police Department will not collaborate with military personnel on police patrols or civil immigration enforcement. We will not have our police officers who are working hard every single day to drive down crime, deputized to do traffic stops and checkpoints for the president. We do not want to see tanks in our streets. We do not want to see families ripped apart. We do not want grandmothers thrown into the back of unmarked vans. We don't want to see homeless Chicagoans harassed or disappeared by federal agents. And so this executive order makes it emphatically clear that this president is not going to come in and deputize our police department.
You teach me all my life that the white man is the devil? Come on, you teach me my whole life that the white man is the devil. Now you tell me it's all right for him to come among us.
And so now, Brandon Johnson stands alone, proud Black man, defender of Chicago. The last stand of the Negro Empire begins now, people.
All this pushback against Trump, knowing how he responds to that, could actually provoke him to follow through with this talk about sending in the National Guard when yesterday he seemed to waffle. Could this make things worse, all this pushback?
Could you imagine if, as a descendant of slaves, if my ancestors would have had that same rationale? Let's not fight against the Confederacy. Let's just try to get along, and then maybe one day they'll give us our freedom. Nowhere in the history of America.
They actually didn't fight against the Confederacy. They worked long and hard until one day war broke out. That's basically the long and short of it. Hate to break it to you, bruh. They worked and they worked and they worked, and then one day the white people started fighting.
Or the world where marginalized people have sat silent and idle, and they've been able to actually achieve justice and liberation. The fact that you have a unified front in Chicago where we are rejecting the occupation by the military of our cities, that's actually fighting for our democracy.
Brandon Johnson, a Black man fighting for democracy, holding a last stand effort to keep the Negro Empire alive in its former great capital, the nigger-founded city of Chicago. Brandon Johnson stands alone against the tide of Trump and all of his federal agents, waiting to descend upon this frightened Black town of diverse single mothers and various immigrants from around the world. Brown people of Chicago, unite, stand up and defend yourself against this angry white man and his vicious tyrannical takeover.
Somebody had to do it. I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it.
That's what's required in this moment. Leading in this moment takes a great deal of courage, but we stand on the shoulders of so many people that have come before us. We have seen these type of tyrannical acts before.
He stands on the shoulders of Nat Turner. He stands on the shoulders of Kunta Kinte. He stands on the shoulders of Chicken George right now, all right? He is doing this for all the great ancestors.
One thing that we know for sure, when we fight back against tyranny, the people united always prevail.
All of this pushback against Trump, knowing how he responds.
This is his moment. This is his time, y'all. He will never get to shine like he is shining right now. And he has to make the best of it. He got to make it do what it do, baby. This is his moment. This is his shot. Brandon Johnson, you better lose yourself in the music the moment you own it. You better never let it go. This is it, baby. This is your one shot. This is like, you like Rabbit in 8 Mile, bro. You got to make it happen.
First, I'm going to bring up the son of a preacher and the son of a union worker, Mayor of the city of Chicago, Brandon Johnson.
Let's go. Let me hear you, Chicago. Let me get you a little bit more noisy out there. Yes.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. His palms are sweaty. Knees weak. Arms are heavy. It's vomit on his sweater already. Mom spaghetti. He's nervous, but on the surface, he looks calm and ready to drop bombs. But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crowd grows so loud. This is his time right now. This is it. This is it. Come on. Snap back to reality. Whoop, there goes gravity.
No federal troops in the city of Chicago. No militarized force in the city of Chicago. We're going to defend our democracy in the city of Chicago.
With his little titties and pot belly. Oh no. Oh no. Shout out to Carmen. He does have a weird body build. That is not a warrior body build. That is a dad body build.
We're going to protect the humanity of every single person in the city of Chicago. And we got the baddest freaking labor movement in the city of Chicago, birthed right here. We're going to take this fight across America, but we got to defend the home front first. And the best way we defend the home front is to make sure that every single worker has a livable wage. That's why we abolished the sub-minimum wage in Chicago for brown and black women.
He's dope. He knows that, but he's broke. He's so stagnant. He won't give up. That is a no. He's not having it.
They get raises on top of their tips. This is the city of Chicago, where we have given paid time off for over 1 million workers, 10 days off, the biggest city in America to ever do it. This is the labor movement, you all. On pace to build more affordable units, a teacher's contract that protects black women, a teacher's contract.
Is he protecting black women from Trump right now? Is that what this is about? I thought Trump came here to fight crime. What do black women have to do with any of this?
But black power starts with black women. It just does.
That protects the LGBTQIA community, the teacher contract.
You protecting the gays too?
That nigga gay, nigga gay.
Yo, David, David, you act like Trump coming for you first, bro. This whole show, David been having heart attacks and apocalyptic sweats in the chat. Is Trump coming for you first, Dave? I mean, as the last founding member of the Negro Empire dynasty, once he wipes out your bloodline, it's over for y'all. Dave, are you all right, bro?
That protects him.
Are you good, bro? You all right? You want to talk?
immigrants. This is the greatest freaking city in the world. We're Chi-Town. Now look, there are some people that have doubts in the labor movement. There are some people believe that we don't have the power to beat authoritarianism. But I'm also a history teacher as well. We have stood up for the interests of workers before.
Dave, you was at this rally, wasn't you? Dave was at the rally. Dave probably writing his memoir right now. I was there. I was the last black man to defend Chicago. When this shit is over, he gonna be so mad at all the other niggas who didn't come to defend Chicago. Dave gonna write about me in his journal. Nobody else came to help. Trump came to Chicago and locked up all the Keishas. It was a genocide.
I hit a woman for the first time in my life, and I'm having fun.
And we will do it again. And no matter what comes from the White House, Chicago will always be a labor town. Are you with me, Chicago? Now, finally, we have seen this president shift the largest concentration of wealth into the hands of the few.
Dick Thug with the $2 super chat says, I'm turning David in. David, you have been cut from the gulag. You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Emotional damage. You want some therapy?
Justice Brandeis made it very clear. He said we can either have a democracy or we can have wealth in the hands of the concentrated few. But he says we cannot have both. Are you prepared to defend this land that was built by slaves, a land that was built by indigenous people?
What are the Chicago former slaves and indigenous people gonna do to defend Chicago? Are you guys going to build like a tunnel system? Are you going to have like little weapon caches dropped all over the city so you can like shoot and scoot? I'm curious. You know, you can tell me. I'm not going to tell nobody else, Dave. How do you guys plan on defending Chicago, Dave? Did you and Brandon come up with like some kind of code words? You and Brandon, you have like some kind of battle plans or whatever? Did you pick like a Sears Tower as like your final stronghold? Is this where you make your last stand? Do you have a final position that you plan on holding if it ever, if you have to fall back? Do you have battle lines drawn up? I mean, how do you plan on defending? Because the way Brandon talked like he has a militia full of drenchers. Brandon talked like he hired the drencher militia and they have taken the contract to secure Chicago. And I'm curious, like, because it's a town on the water, right? It's not like a river, it's basically a lake. But I mean, technically, the lake you could float to the ocean from there, can't you? I don't know. That's not even important. All I'm saying is, you got your back to the water, so that's one position you don't have to defend all that much. But Trump is sneaky. Trump might launch an aquatic invasion. What if Trump comes out of the water, bro? What if Trump surprises you and he actually has troops plotted? He already has troops stationed underwater. What is that? What's that lake in Chicago? What's that lake y'all got up there? Lake Chicago. All right, whatever you got, whatever that water is. What if Trump already has troops stationed in Lake Chicago and he has an underwater invasion just ready to go? Lake Michigan, right? What if he's already there? How do you defend against a land and sea invasion? David, did you guys even prepare for land and sea invasion? Because you know Trump has boats, right? Like, I feel like you guys didn't even think through this whole I'm just going to defend Chicago thing. Because the way Brandon talking, you would think that they have, like, some surface-to-air missile bunkers, you know, some SAM nests on the buildings, maybe. Couple of machine gun nests at key points. Have you even started setting up checkpoints, right? Because what if he's sending in his agents secretly? What if ICE is already there undercover right now and you ain't even know it? What if ICE is already in Chicago slipping deportation papers under people's door right now and you ain't even know it? Have you even set up checkpoints? I mean, all this defend Chicago talk, I feel like y'all just talking, bro. And shout out to SKC, Coon of Coons with the $2 super chat. I'm turning David in as well. David, I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. It's not personal. It's not personal. You got to go, bro. You got to go.
If you think I'm here to play around with y'all, goddamn I'm not. All right.
It's been a long time since we had to actually kill Dave on one of these panels because they've been cool. But we finally figured out his trigger. Don't touch the Negro Empire capital. And I almost don't feel bad for Dave. In his mind, Dave is defending his great ethnic homeland. Dave is like the Kurds or something like that. Dave is like one of those Afghanis in Rambo 3. But Dave, it is what it is, bro. We're not killing Dave today. We've matured from that. We're just gonna call the police on you. These niggas over here rabble rousing and shit.
Land that is built by workers. Are you prepared to defend this land? The people united will always prevail. I need you all to stand firm, to stand strong. If this president decides to continue to break this Constitution, it's going to be the labor movement that stitches it back together. The labor movement that brings black folks, white folks, Asians, it brings brown folks together. This is the city that said keep hope alive. The city that birthed yes we can. And the city that will defend this country. God bless you all. God bless the labor movement. God bless the greatest freaking city in the world. Chi-Town.
Imagine going to war with this nigga. Imagine getting up and actually going to war with him. Imagine Brandon Johnson calls you up. Yo, I got into some beef, bro. I need your help. Can you just, I'm trying to picture it in my mind. Oh. I can see David at home right now waiting for the call. It'd be just like Sam Hyde in that Hitler meme. It's like, oh my God. Brandon Johnson needs my help. He says I'm the only one who can save Chicago. Oh my God. What if Brandon Johnson calls on you to finally come in and save Chicago? Dave, will you answer the call?
The president said he wants a crackdown on crime there, while the Democratic governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, is calling it something else, a potential invasion. So far this Labor Day weekend, dozens of shootings have been reported in Chicago. The president is warning that Pritzker, he better, quote, straighten it out fast or we're coming. The governor says the White House is making plans in secret without communicating with his office. And it does come as CNN is reporting that the Trump administration is planning a major immigration operation in Chicago as early as this week. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem has confirmed that ICE will expand operations in that city and other locations. But Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson has now signed an executive order instructing local police not to assist in any federal immigration crackdown. Let's get right to Chicago this morning for the latest. CNN's Whitney Wild is there. Whitney, give us the status.
Hey, Dave. I got a question, Dave. Serious question. Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Serious question, Dave. Take a minute, think about it.
John, the expectation here is that there are going to be federal resources surged into the city of Chicago by Friday. The expectation is that's going to look like at least armored vehicles, very likely boots on the ground here. And when you're looking at some framework across the country to find out how this is going to look in Chicago, the question is it going to look like Washington, D.C., or is it going to look like Los Angeles? And our sources are telling us that this is going to look a lot more like Los Angeles. And that means that this is going to be an immigration push. So the plan here, as we understand it, is that this is
Dave, is that your plan to defend Chicago? SKC was right. SKC was 1,000% right. Why is it that your plan to defend Chicago doesn't involve actually defending Chicago? SKC said you're about to become the immortal Pookie. This is your origin story. Oh, that would be a great origin story for the immortal Pookie character. Got to make him like a real comic book character with a real origin. One day he develops like Pookie powers.
is going to surge immigration agents to Chicago. The potential for the National Guard deployment would be for a peacekeeping effort. The White House in Los Angeles had previously said that the role of the National Guard was really to ensure that these agents can carry out their immigration duties effectively and safely. The city is doing whatever they can to try to stop this ahead of time, John. And law enforcement here will admit that there's just, and city leaders here will admit there's just not a lot that they can do. The Illinois Attorney General has made clear he cannot file a lawsuit preemptively. Meanwhile, Brandon Johnson, as you had mentioned, signed an executive order reaffirming the city's steps in reaction to this. So it directs city officials not to engage with federal officials as they carry out these actions. Specifically, the Chicago Police Department is not to partake in any of these actions. City offices need to look for legal and legislative efforts to try to stop this. Meanwhile, Governor J.B. Pritzker, who has publicly sparred with President Trump, who has drawn the president's ire by name, is firing back. Here are some very terse words from J.B. Pritzker on this potential immigration deployment.
No one in the administration, the president or anybody under him, has called anyone in my administration and me have not called the city of Chicago or anyone else. So it's clear that
Call you for what? You don't even believe in locking criminals. You think arresting criminals doesn't solve crime. Washington, D.C. would like to talk to you for a minute, but you don't want to talk, so it is what it is.
They're planning this, well, it's an invasion with U.S. troops, if they in fact do that.
I'd like us to all take a moment and just take it in. The president of America, the president of the United States of America, is invading the city of Chicago because black crime has gotten so out of hand that he has to basically invade it. Have black people in Chicago sparked a federal invasion? Is that the only way to get black crime under control? is to actually invade it. Are you going to bring troops down to Chicago? Are you going to bring tanks now? Are you going to bring Black Hawk helicopters? Is it going to be like that one time in Somalia?
What's wrong with you? What's wrong with y'all? You niggas are crazy.
The crime situation here, as we just had some crime stats up, I want to walk you through that a little bit more, because what the leaders here say is that Chicago represents a success story. They've been able to effectively bring down major crime categories in double digits. However, as you saw President Trump point out, they had a really violent weekend in Chicago.
Should we drone strike O-Block? All plans are on the table. Dave, how do you guys... have you prepared to defend against drone strikes? All right. I mean, since you're defending against this invasion, do you have a plan to deal with a drone swarm? I have some thoughts, but I don't want to help you niggas. I have all kind of ideas, you know, both digital and tactile, but I don't really want to help you niggas. But I'm just putting that out there. Like, you should prepare to deal with things like a drone swarm. Maybe some kind of miniature EMP device might get used on your charger.
Over Labor Day weekend, 24 people shot, several people killed. So there is, you know, you can make data say a lot of things, John. And for the Trump administration, it is representative of a major problem here. However, leaders here.
You know what, Red? I actually got a great video of my favorite young Black fascist. He's still a Marxist though, so I can't really fuck with him like that. But I like his energy though. He's got just enough of that kind of psychopathic leadership quality that I see something in him. But we might come back to him later on. Because he's mad at Nick Fuentes. So we might get back to the Black fascist kid.
Look at the crime drop as a success story.
Yeah, the data in the middle of the political debate right now. Whitney Wild for us in Chicago. Thank you very much. Yana?
All right, joining me now, CNN senior political analyst Ron Brownstein. He's written a CNN analysis about the messaging from Democrats against the president, including his threats to send National Guard troops to more U.S. cities. It's titled, "This One Word Captures the Most Important Division Among Democrats," and not to spoil too much, but that word is distraction. So tell us more what you mean about that one important word, Ron.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the one word is distraction. You know, when the Democratic congressional leaders like Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries criticize Trump's actions in terms of threatening democracy or deploying troops to U.S. cities, they almost invariably, Bianca, describe it as a distraction from something else, whether it's Epstein, Medicaid cuts, inflation. That infuriates a whole other camp of Democrats who believe that the deployment of troops to U.S. cities, the other steps Trump has taken to kind of...
Does it take the power of the United States military to actually get Black America under control? Think about that though. Like, we've tried all the programs. The programs have been in place for a long time. We got coaches, we got youth pastors, got basketball, all of that. Matter of fact, let me show you one of these athletic program coaching things that be going on out here.
Everybody got to get down. Everybody got to get down because they shoot. Everybody down. Look, these kids are running. They shooting. We can't have no fun in Chicago, man. No fun, man. This is terrible. I ought to throw a goddamn flag. Because this y'all neighborhood.
Flag on the play. Flag on the whole goddamn city. Kids can't even go outside and play a little bit of football.
This might be over with, but I gotta see what it's like, man.
Do you think this would happen more or less if the National Guard was riding around in armored up Humvees? Maybe some of those Iraqi MRAP vehicles, you know, the ones that are bomb-proof? Because you can't trust these niggas, all right? We need bomb-proof vehicles.
My first reaction was that this is a good thing. I think that the governor as well as the mayor should be on board with it just so we can get a bit more of security in Chicago the way that we need.
The crime has dropped since 2024. Do you feel like the city feels safer?
No, not at all. No, especially with the police being defunded. My first reaction was
Nobody feels safe in Chicago. It's like really weird how it's such a very black city, but nobody feels safe there.
Donald Trump trying to send them peoples out here to Chicago. I say, fuck it, send them. Will it change anything? Probably not. Could it bring crime down temporarily with their presence here? Maybe. Is it unconstitutional what Donald Trump doing? Yeah, but it's funny. But it's funny because ever since Trump wanted to get involved with Chicago, J.B. Pritzker finally acting like he give a damn about Chicago. Brandon Johnson is mysteriously moving with some type of sense of urgency. And I just think that it's a power and control thing on both parties, from the president to our governor to our mayor. Because granted, Chicago is not like how it was in 2014 through 2016 when we had them high-ass murder rates. But it's still enough going on in Chicago to garner these folks' attention and make them feel like it's necessary for them to do something. All these percentages as far as robberies and murders and shootings and stuff, these percentages that they say that's going down, there's a handful of Chicago residents on the north side, the east side, the west side, the south side, the inner parts of the city that just don't feel that. More investments could have been made in the black communities because that's what he's attacking. That's what he's trying to go for. Curfews could have been implemented a little bit more for these YNs out here. Youth recreational centers, after school matters programs, more support to these nonprofit organizations that's willing to help our youth out here. But no, we give our money to the police. Barely ain't doing shit still. The red light cameras and shit, and all of the other things that just don't really better our city. But if you a tax-paying citizen and you be out the way, you shouldn't have nothing to worry about unless he's sending these folks out here to racially profile people and bother tax-paying citizens that get up and go to work and mind their business every day. But everybody talking about the cons of the presence of Donald Trump and the feds and the National Guards, but nobody is talking about the possible pros. Because just imagine if Chicago could go one day without a murder, that'd be monumental. I feel like the governors and the mayor of Chicago just don't want to lose that control. Now, this could be a spark of a civil war or a revolution to go on, because one thing about Chicago, they're not sweet. It's going to be one crash out dummy that's going to take it there with them folks, and then we're going to have a bigger problem on our hands. But the Fed's presence and Trump's presence could either calm shit down for a little while, or it could significantly make it worse. But in order for us to find this shit out, he's just going to have to send him. And I personally don't give a damn if he sent him or not, because I ain't got shit to worry about. So we just gonna have to cross that bridge when we get there. Sound like Trump 2028 around this motherfucker. Donald Trump trying.
Look at that right there, man. Look at that right there. That's Chicago this weekend. This holiday weekend, not counting today, which is Monday. And Brandon Johnson, the mayor, is still fighting Donald J. Trump for help. And the fat-ass governor still fighting Donald J. Trump for help. They prefer to see 57 people get shot rather than asking for help. They rather see people get unalived in their city rather than ask Donald J. Trump for help. Those two people, Governor Pritzker and fucking Brandon Johnson, they are horrible human beings. They do not like their people. They are choosing politics over the safety of their fucking people. A Pritzker, your fat ass. Go to goddamn the south side of goddamn Chicago. Go to them neighborhoods, man. Go to Old Block, you fat Pritzker. He's not gonna go because he don't give a fuck about politics. Look at this shit. And they fighting Donald J. Trump. He just want to help, man. He just want to help. But Brandon Johnson, the worst mayor ever, he doesn't care about his own fucking people in his goddamn city. He wanted Trump, prove Trump while this is happening. 2 mass shootings, nothing from CNN, nothing from ABC News, because you know why? It was black on black, and they don't care. it was a white dude going to a school or anything else, which is bad, don't get me wrong, they would be talking about that shit. But since, are they saying they're going to ban handguns in Chicago? Because that's what they used this past weekend, handguns. We're going to ban those on CNN, ABC News, CBS News. Not a motherfucking word from the news station. 2 mass shootings in Chicago in 2 days. Nothing. Like I said again, man, the black politicians, they don't give a fuck about the people in their cities, especially the white Democrats. Like Governor Pritzker, he's a billionaire. His grandchild, his grandchildren, his children, they're happy, smiling. They don't have to dodge bullets at night. At nights like 57 and counting. It's shameful, man. Look at that right there, man. Look at that right there.
So, you know, I really am honored that the National Guard has done such an incredible job working with the police. And we haven't had to bring in the regular military, which we're willing to do. We have to. And after we do this, we'll go to another location and we'll make it safe also. We're going to make our country very safe. We're going to make our cities very, very safe. Chicago's a mess. You have an incompetent mayor, grossly incompetent. And we'll straighten that one out probably next. That'll be our next one after this. And it won't even be tough.
Brandon Johnson said Trump is afraid of a smart, black, competent man. We're going to see who's afraid of who in a minute, aren't we?
So in a press conference, Donald Trump said that Chicago is next for the federal takeover. He said Chicago is out of control, and with him federally taking over, they can get back some control. And then he went on to say Chicago will be next, and then after that, they will go on to help with New York. Now, I'm from Detroit. We don't want it. It was said that it was multiple women from Chicago wearing red hats, African-American ladies, saying, come to Chicago, please, please, Donald Trump, please come to Chicago and help. Then he ended up calling the mayor of Chicago, Brandon, incompetent. He said the mayor is to blame for the upticking of the crime in Chicago. And then he went on to state that
if you can't blame black leadership for the outcomes of the black community, then what's the point of black leadership? Are they just collecting a check? They're like office employees, they city employees or whatever?
they ready, be ready, and when the time comes, they're gonna come over and they're gonna straighten out Chicago just like they did DC. Chicago, y'all want that? So
Donald Trump trying to say.
Americans from coast to coast are bracing for impact ahead of what could soon be an expanded federal takeover of our largest cities. In Chicago this afternoon, protesters are spending their holiday making it crystal clear to Donald John Trump that National Guard troops are not needed nor welcome in their efforts to cut down on crime. Just this weekend, the city's mayor signed an executive order intended to curb the power of federal law enforcement and the National Guard should Trump follow through on his plans to flood the streets with armed personnel. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem confirmed that the Trump administration plans on expanding immigration and customs enforcement operations in major American cities, including Chicago. As elected Democrats in that city and beyond prepare, they're hammering down on a major contradiction. That red state, blue state tension persists, even in the ongoing federal takeover of Washington, D.C. Of the 2,200 National Guard troops that are patrolling the streets there today, nearly 60% are from 6 states. Can you guess which states? Louisiana, Mississippi, Ohio, South Carolina, Tennessee, West Virginia. And on that very topic,
why do the red states have to police the blue states? How come y'all can't get y'all shit together? Red states always got to save the blue states, man. That's terrible.
Tanya, well, Mayor Brandon Johnson just took to the stage at the rally here, addressing the hundreds of people that have gathered for this Labor Day rally and march, which is bringing together not just labor unions from across the city, but also.
Look how white that crowd is. Where are all of his black fans and supporters? What happened to Black Chicago? Dave, how come I can't see you in that crowd of white people? There's a very white crowd. Like, this is one of the, my screen has never been this white. Oh my God.
So a variety of community and advocacy groups as well. Organizers saying that they're taking a stand against what they call the Trump-led billionaire takeover of government. Today's march takes off from the West Loop's Haymarket Memorial, a powerful symbol of the city's labor movement. And from here, it will follow a route that takes it past 3 spots that protesters say are linked to President Trump in one way or another, as they demand a government at all levels that puts, in their words, workers over billionaires.
No, we're not doing none of that.
Chicago officials say,
Chicago, when have you said that you had enough of your mayor, Brandon Johnson, who seems to me that he doesn't give a shit about you? Breaking news. The Trump administration is weighing National Guard deployments in Chicago, drawing new attention to how immigration-related arrests have become a central feature of its crackdown in Washington, D.C., as many of the arrests since President Donald J. Trump announced the crackdown earlier this month have been immigration-related, including alleged members of Tren de Agua and MS-13. The article goes on to say that the federal surge in the capital city is now inspiring the possibility of targeting Chicago and other blue cities next. In Chicago, ICE is expected to use the Great Lakes Naval Station as a home base for a major immigration enforcement operation in the area soon. Stating that Chicago is a mess, you have an incompetent mayor that is grossly incompetent, straight out of the words out of our president, Donald J. Trump, and our border czar, Tom Homan, comes out to say to the mayor, you basically just fucked around, and now you're going to find out. At this point, Mayor Brandon Johnson, I have a lot of followers coming out of Chicago. And if you truly care about the will of the people, I would take a look at the comments below, because I guarantee you that they are clearly going to say and request for the National Guard to come in, not only to protect their families, but yours as well. Illinois, we are rooting for you. And all we want to do, and the only ambitions that we have, is to make Chicago great again.
Is it just me, or does that guy sound oddly Italian? I don't know why. I'm just getting all type of like Long Island vibes off this guy. It's weird.
Donald Trump has no respect for black people. He has no respect for black leadership. And he is consistently targeting black leadership. Remember 2020 when he complained about losing, the election was rigged? There were 4 cities he kept bringing up: Atlanta, Philadelphia, Detroit, and Milwaukee. What do those 4 cities have in common? Black people. Donald Trump is always talking about Chicago. Chicago. He has one of his Trump Towers hotels in Chicago. But let's be clear. He doesn't give a damn about Chicago. He uses Chicago as a whipping boy for whatever he wants to do. And that's what the right does. Talk to any white conservative or even the help like Philip from.
You know, it's kind of like the whole smoke detector thing. If you get tired of people making fun of your smoke detector, then go do something about it. Go change the battery. Like, why don't you fix the town? Why don't you make things better?
From Indiana, oh, by the way, that Negro was appointed executive director of the Civil Rights Commission in Indiana. So my producer sent me the Facebook link. And, I responded saying, "Oh, you got a witness protection, huh?" See, they love talking about Chicago. They love bringing up Chicago. They love to it's always Chicago. And I told y'all the story when I was at one of those meetings with Trump with TV anchors, and he was like, "Well, Ron was in my office and he told me to deal with crime in Chicago. We got to deal with economics and poverty and education." He was like, "No, Ron, you're not getting this right." And I was like, "No, actually, he is right." Now, Rahm Emanuel ain't there. Brandon Johnson is now the mayor, and he's been saying the exact same thing.
How do you educate all these children whose parents are not handling it properly? Let's put it that way. Like, there's just this assumption that if we just spend money on children, somehow they'll get smarter. And I don't think that's been working well for us lately. It's just not coming together the way you want it to.
And if you actually talk to any police chief, and I've actually asked the question to many of them, they will tell you that more cops on the street does not equate to a drop in crime. Mayor Johnson joins us right now. Mayor, glad to be with you right now. Glad to have you here. You were on MSNBC, and Joe Scarborough was asking you over and over and over again, "Oh, Mayor, I agree with you about all the other different things, but wouldn't it be helpful to have 5,000 cops on the street?" And I saw that clip because I don't watch that show. It's been 10 years since they had me on because I was just way too mouthy for them. That's what happens when you're an uppity Negro to them. And the thing is, Donald Trump has no respect for black people. He has no respect for black leadership.
It's the yuppie white women in Chicago who want to scream about Trump being fascist, yet they keep themselves carefully, safely tucked away in Lincoln Park. Come to Woodlawn. And not the cute part. No, go past 63rd. Come to Auburn Gresham. Chatham. Inglewood. Get on your scooter there. And do it about 7 o'clock. Okay. If you're not going to do that, mind your business.
It's just gone from bad to worse to disaster.
No one really feels safe. It's impossible to feel safe in a city like this, especially with the leadership we have.
These kids are carrying guns like around the ages of 8 years old, and they're killing other 8-year-old kids with guns. It's insane.
My opinion, not enough police officers. The police officers' hands are tied.
So the police is really unappreciative offhand under Brandon Johnson, Lori Lightfoot, J.B. Pritzker. Those are three are the reason why nobody don't want to be a police.
Their policies when it comes to crime is not working at all.
I think the biggest piece of the pie has to be more police officers, more protection. That's what the people want.
It's just gone from bad to worse.
So, any day now, the National Guard and a lot of ICE agents are going to begin some type of operations in the town of Chicago. And obviously, it's upsetting a certain amount of people. But a lot of black people actually do want this, right? A lot of black folk actually do want what DC got. I think a lot of frank discussions have been bubbling up to the surface lately. And we're going to take a little bit of a segue now. We are going to take a little bit of a segue because somebody in the chat reminded me of my little black fascist friend here. And I want to kind of shift gears slightly to talk about something here. with the rise of guys like Nick Fuentes, and the fact that Nick Fuentes actually does manage to attract a certain amount of non-white male listeners, and maybe even a couple of females as well, it's kind of pushing the Overton window in a direction that the left has been trying to avoid for my entire life, frankly, which is having frank discussions about the racial relations in America.
Nick Fuentes has given some of the most interesting commentary on this. And by the way, I'm just going to sidebar here. Watching some of like Nick Fuentes's black stands, his black conservative stands gush over him on YouTube is actually gross. Y'all snap out of it. Stop riding his jock. It's really gross. You know who you are. You know, just, oh my God, oh my God. I can look aside some of the things he says, but who cares? I'm more concerned about people who are lying to my face and pretending they like me than, you know, Nick Fuentes speaking facts. Okay, well, you know what, y'all, get off his jock. I don't know if you're trying to get clicks by being his fans, but he don't need black stands, okay?
Can a nigga live? Can a nigga live, please?
I'm sure he doesn't want them either. Okay. But he's one of those broken clocks that is right sometimes. You're right. Every broken clock is right once or twice a day. Marjorie Taylor Greene found her way to the right side on Gaza, et cetera, et cetera. It can happen. Tucker Carlson did. So the right, you know, they ain't always wrong, right? Sometimes they get some things right. And in Nick Fuentes' case, he's sort of a smarter, younger Tucker Carlson, right? He has similar views, but he's sharper. He's like 25 years old. He's, you know, a white supremacist. I don't think that he would disagree with me saying he is. I think that's what he considers himself, right? The Groyper guy. But he's caught on to a couple of things that I think are actually true. And it's game recognizing, or he's recognizing the game Republicans have been playing specifically with young white men, because that's who he speaks for. He speaks for young white men.
What is the conversation he's having with young white men?
White people are every single bit justified in being racist. Every single bit justified, to the extent that that means going out of your way to avoid black people when you see them. Every bit justified. And you want to know why? Because we see what happens. And nobody is under any obligation due to liberal ideology to put themselves in harm's way. If you're a white person and you're going to work or going to the ball game or going to the city at night, you don't want to enter into the terror dome where you're suddenly in a sudden death match. You're like in the gulag in Call of Duty fighting for your life all of a sudden because you got on the wrong train car. Because a car full of black people pulled up on you by the bus stop. You turn and you walk the other way. You avoid.
Nobody wants to be Daniel Penny. Nobody even wants to stand up and do the right thing anymore. What even is the right thing?
Avoid their neighborhoods. You avoid going out on Memorial Day or Labor Day weekend at night in certain places. When you see them, you start walking in the other direction. And we are.
And it was just Labor Day weekend. And aren't you glad you avoided them? It was Labor Day. It just happened. Labor Day weekend just happened. Over 50 people shot in Chicago. Aren't you glad you avoided them? Don't you read numbers like that and you feel a bit justified? You see, this is why I don't be doing that shit. See, look, see, honey, look, see, look at this number. See, I told you. This is why we didn't go there last night.
Are every bit justified because we see what's going on and we don't want to die. It's that simple. That's pattern recognition. That's not racism. That's pattern recognition. That's one. And two, I really hope, because I'm rooting for black people, like I'm rooting for humanity. I'm rooting for everybody to be safe and to be healthy and to be happy. I really hope that somewhere out there, although I'm not optimistic, Black people are starting to develop some sense of self-awareness. Where's the shame? Aren't you people ashamed? When I see these clips of the graduation ceremonies where they're twerking on stage and dancing, when I see these videos of the Black cheerleaders on the basketball court brawling it out, when I see the Carmelo Anthony, and not only that, but then they raise $500,000 for him and then they get a public defender. When I see that video of a Black security guard rifling through the pockets of an unconscious white guy that got his ass kicked, and the list goes on and on and on. You have to ask the Black people that are normally so proud, and with the chip on their shoulder, aren't you ashamed? Are you not ashamed when you see these things? Are there any Black people that see this and have the slightest lick of self-awareness, of common sense, of decency to say, are you not ashamed to see these scenes play out over and over again?
No. No, absolutely not. And I'll tell you why. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the Negro response to Nick Fuentes. I never managed to get this kid's name, but I've seen him popping up on a lot of these far left Black sites. A lot of these guys, they got me blocked, so I can't really save or see a lot of their work. But this guy is a left-wing Black fascist Marxist, I think is a good way to describe it. He is the Black man's answer to Nick Fuentes.
The United States of America, as we know it, was meant to be a white nation, not meant for anyone else. It was founded by whites. They wanted the nation to continue to be white-owned. The land was fought for by whites, and they fought non-whites for it. The mass majority of the population have always been white. All presidents but one were white, which
he has a great like Black fascist aesthetic, you know what I mean? Like military kind of vibe with his outfit right now. Got his whatever that flag is in the corner. Nationalistic, obviously. This is nigga Fuentes right here. David, this is your guy. This is the commander of this is the future commander of your Negro Empire Army right here. This is Colonel nigga Fuentes.
means the policy has always been made to favor them and not other races. The majority of the population has been white for all of the history of the nation and even till today, which means the Black population has had a minority say in the affairs of this space. The founders of the country intended for it to be a benefit and to enrich the white populations from Europe and them alone, which means the rates of poverty of the Black population are as they intended. The Constitution was written for white Europeans and white Europeans alone, which means when today you see a constant whining from the Black population about whites not being fair, things are as they intended, and only fools would expect anything else. All amendments of the Constitution were meant for white Europeans only, which means when things that
Yeah, I think that is the new Negro Empire flag. Whenever he rises up and becomes the Nig Fuhrer, this is going to be the Negro Empire flag, SKC. And in about like 10 or 15 years, when he finally rises to glory and he assumes the title as Nig Fuhrer of the Negro Empire, this will be the flag he waves.
Caucasians receive no consequence for, result in consequences for the Black population, things are going as intended. The most armed population in the U.S. is the white population, and that is why the police and government give them way more sway and leeway. The majority of the armed forces, police forces, are white, and which means those forces are only going to defend one interest, that is the white interest. Those forces are for themselves and themselves alone. When they attack our race constantly in videos we see across the internet, and sometimes in real life, They are not making mistakes. They are attacking what they view as an enemy innately, our race. The billionaires and millionaires of the nation are almost entirely composed of white people, which means the most powerful individuals of the nation, even outside of the armed forces and police and government, are whites. The history books of the US are composed almost entirely of white people. The majority of voters are white people, which means it's always the white choice when presidents, governors, and senators are chosen.
All right. Nigga Fuentes versus real Fuentes.
Really hope, because I'm rooting for black people, like I'm rooting for humanity. I'm rooting for everybody to be safe and to be healthy and to be happy. I really hope that somewhere out there, although I'm not optimistic, black people are starting to develop some sense of self-awareness. Where's the shame? Aren't you people ashamed? When I see these clips of the graduation ceremonies where they're twerking on stage and dancing, when I see these videos of the black cheerleaders on the basketball court brawling it out, when I see the Carmelo Anthony, and not only that, but then they raise $500,000 for him and then they get a public defender. When I see that video of a black security guard rifling through the pockets of an unconscious white guy that got his ass kicked, and the list goes on and on and on. You have to ask the black people that are normally so proud, and with the chip on their shoulder, aren't you ashamed? Are you not ashamed when you see these things? Are there any black people that see this and have the slightest lick of self-awareness, of common sense, of decency to say, are you not ashamed to see these scenes play out over and over again? Where's the accountability? And this is where that word fatigue comes in. We're just tired of seeing it. You see these clips and you know every race of person, maybe except for most blacks, white, Chinese, Indian, Hispanic, and even liberals see these clips and they say, are you surprised? They shake their heads. They say, yep. Usual suspects. They say, yep, that's about right. Are you not ashamed? And when are black people going to turn that around?
South Carolina at one point was 51% black. In the year 1900, that is. Today, it is a mere 20% black. In 1930, Mississippi was 53% black. Today, it is 37% black. In the year 1900, Georgia was 47% black. Today, it is 32% black. In the year 1900, Alabama was 45% black. Today, it is 26%. In 1900, Virginia was 36% black. Today, it is 19% black. A righteous man by the name of Marcus Garvey was born on the 17th of August in 1887. This man grew up to be the main leader of Pan-Africanist ideology in his time, and even today, he is a legendary figure within black politics. He wanted nothing but to unify black people, and even advocated for the return of black people to Africa, out of Western white nations. He bought a ship for this purpose, and was still then sabotaged by the FBI. In 1922, Garvey was indicted for mail fraud. Historians agree today that those charges had no basis. However, Garvey was even then sent to prison for 5 years. In Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1920, there was a thriving community of black people. It had over 300 black-owned businesses, had a population of about 10,000, and they had residents, had education, their own homes, an overall healthy and loving community filled with black families over the period of 2 days.
Hold up. You know what? I just found his YouTube channel. We got to call an audible on the play. I just found his YouTube channel and I got to share this with you guys. Gender Equality and Black Nationalism, Part 1. You see what I mean about He has like a weird fascist aesthetic. Like, why are you trying to fly the eagle, bro? Just drop the bullshit and get over on the right where it's right. You're not gonna get the niggas to follow you like that. That's not how that works, bro. That's a weird look you're going for. But I like that you're trying. You understand the power of the fascismo.
Black men have been raised in the modern world to believe in gender equality. This is something universal at this point. The very idea of questioning this will have many people accusing you of cooning, proclaiming you are acting as a white do, or that you are simply evil. So many of us have bought into an egalitarianism that isn't right and that we deep down do not believe in. This is because we think it is a safeguard and that it is dirty to think otherwise. We've been told that African Americans were enslaved due to superiority complexes and that the invasion of Africa was due to patriarchy. They've claimed that if we don't demand every last human being to be an equal level, then we would be placed in a bad position ourselves. How is it that historically the humans who fought for nations' survival in the face of enemies were men in our race, yet we are told the genders are the exact same? The majority of the people who fought throughout history to regain the level of sovereignty the black race has now were all men, yet we are not allowed to acknowledge that? The majority of white DNA in African American people isn't maternal, it's paternal, meaning ghetto gaggers brought white genes amongst themselves.
You see why I found the spark in him? He is on his way. If you could only drop the overblown racial grievance, you could be a cinnamon Hitler too, bro. You're almost there. And you're so young. You have so much time ahead of you. And you know what they say, a lot of black folk are left-leaning in their youth. Then somewhere around 35, he starts to get sick of these niggas and he comes around.
The people today fighting and advocating for our race's change are black. Black men from Julius Malema to Abraham Traore. Black women speak about how people don't appreciate their natural hair, but the people in the 60s to now who promoted natural hair to the point where it's loved to any degree, today we're paying African black men promoting black love. Go up to the average black woman and ask her anything about the future of the black race, and you'll get a blank stare. They are totally absent in the intellectual and physical drive which pushes our race forward. The problem for the black race isn't too much patriarchy, rather it is the lack thereof. If this race had been led by the most serious men, and them alone, if this race was led by the most intelligent and race loyal, we would have never been in this position to begin with. It is the lack of greater black men rising above all the worthless of the population, which allows for such a weak racial situation to begin with. In the future, where we are the main constructors of success, we have the total right to hold all positions of power. We earn the total right to rule, and we don't owe traitorous ghetto gaggers anything. So the black men who want to call me evil for saying this truth, you have no argument against it.
No, you have to think about it. Well, think about it like this, SKC, right? I'm not prepared to accuse him of being flat-footed in the moment because I really haven't watched much of him like in a live back and forth. But I'll say this, right? He is modeling himself after the great right-wing German leadership of the 40s. He's just giving speeches. That's all it is. He's giving speeches, and he's gonna work himself up. I see greatness in him.
I don't care what you have to say. You can mention the small sprinkles of barely important women who had the slightest of effects on the black politics all you'd like. You will always mention some achievement that took place after the revolutions were won, the colleges were built, and the establishment was created. If I build a house, I don't want someone who did nothing to make it happen demanding that they should have a say in what happens in it. Their comments simply shouldn't exist. I will not take the anti-black man slander from race traitors and coons. The concubines and bedwenches should do the bare minimum of accepting what they are, and that they deserve nothing more than to be concubines. To those concubines, serious black men don't claim to want to liberate all black people in the black race. My message to the willful concubines is there will merely be a change of ownership. Your future is set. I wholeheartedly reject gender equality. I damn it to hell, along with anyone who preaches such an evil and robbing thing. You cannot claim I'm evil for saying this. If I'm evil for saying this, then you go to work and you earn money. I shall come and take.
No gender equality and the new Negro Empire. I like this guy. I do. We just gotta. I mean, we'll see how he grows in the future, but he has a great core foundation.
It all because we are all equal, and it doesn't matter if you did all the work yourself. You are being patriarchal by disagreeing. The power positions in this race belong only to the actively contributing and race-loyal black men. Black men who are consistently building a good future for the black race and building atop of what has been built by black men in the past deserve all they've built, and all outsiders absolutely nothing.
Yep. It's Junior Coco Hitler right there. He is on his way. The Zaminist Consortium. No, the Zamitist Consortium.
Hello. Today, my message is against the idea of egalitarianism. Much of the black race has come to egalitarianism because the black race does not see itself as an independent sphere around the world. It does not see itself as one single pole needing to defend and sustain itself. So egalitarianism is the idea that all of us are sort of equal and all of us are upon a common plane. And this is going to cause more trouble than not. Egalitarianism is followed because many would like the West to engage in it, where the West does not see itself as a single pole. In other words, the Western white race does not see itself as an independent pole, but sees all races that happen to live in the West as a single pole. Multiculturalism, if you will. The liberal world order, where we do not see ourselves as races, but as individuals, liberal or liberated as individuals against any sort of common fascist ideas. This has led us to not see the differences within our own race. This has led us to not see the differences in humanity generally and even across other living beings on the planet.
SKC asks, who's your choice if you had to pick, Hood, this guy or the Bretter Bunce guy? The Bretter Bunce guy is just a little hoodlum. This is my guy right here. If I could choose a fascist leader of the future, I would start to mold him for the job. You know, you have to groom leadership and all that. So you start to get him in positions where he can observe the reality of things. You start to explain concepts to him. And I think he's about to approach the conversation of slave morality right here.
But let's look at two different natures that are very important for us to understand if we're ever going to reach racial success. Within the wild, there is a lion. A lion is something that simply cannot be tamed. It doesn't matter how much food you give it. It will never be tamed. It will never cede to you. It will rather fight you till the death. That is the simple nature of a lion. It values sovereignty and will over anything else. Even if it's starving, it will not ever see you as a friend. Whereas you have different creatures like puppies and dogs, let's say a Shih Tzu. A dog will befriend you and be your little slave if you give it food once or twice. It is as simple as that. Pet it a little bit, give it slight affection, and it will be your best friend forever.
Who are you referring to as a slave, brother?
To not see the stark differences between these two creatures in the world is going to result in a problem. Because how exactly does the black race reach liberty when there are those with slave nature being seen as equal to those with lion nature within this race? There are black men who are entirely fine with this position. During slavery, there were those who argued in favor of being with their owner. There were those who rather fight to the death. There are those in this world that are completely fine with capitulation, completely fine with loss, so long as they are somewhat comfortable.
Now, I don't know if he's actually gone through this concept to any conclusion such as I have. For example, last night on the panel, we had a guest up here, and I was talking about this idea of slave morality and all that. And to kind of summarize, really, I think a lot of Black folk understand the whip, but they don't understand what a plantation truly is. And so because they understand the whip, they'll constantly crack the whip, but they'll never truly be able to manage the plantation. And I wonder if he's actually seen the evidence of that the way I have.
And this is the nature of many people. Within the white race, for many, many centuries, there was nothing but an aristocracy in charge of that population, and the other 90% were peasants. It's estimated that 90% of Europeans throughout most of its history, or at least during the Dark Ages, during the medieval ages, were peasants, effectively slaves that worked the land for their owners, the aristocrats. These were simply people who won, and then there was people who lost. I would ask you, why don't the slaves revolt? Why didn't the peasants revolt? They did a couple times here and there, but for the large part, even those were really led by other elites that simply got troubled enough by other elites that they felt they could use the slave population to fight the elite of the elites. That's all that's happened there. This race needs to realize that some people just don't deserve victory. And we shouldn't be expecting them to ever fight for victory unless we can own them ourselves.
Here's a question for you. And this is why I think he's such an odd figure. His left-wing nature is just not in line with what he truly believes. And by left-wing, I mean his like racial grievances or whatnot. But why does he not have any sort of African motif in his background? No lions, no proud man holding a spear, nothing that says Africa. Very modern, very Western. You look fucking German. Outside from your obvious melanated condition, you look like a goddamn German. Ich bin ein Berliner, nigga.
My morality is really the purpose of this video, to speak on where exactly it stands upon. What does it stand upon exactly? We care for different creatures. To mention the dogs again, we care for dogs. Even though they can't beat us, it's not by force, it's not fear that makes us like dogs. We simply are caring creatures. We see other living beings upon the planet and we want to make their existence better. We know what pain feels like and we know what happiness feels like. We wish to care for other creatures. This extends to other humans as well. However, when we see a situation where our Black race is being robbed, millions are suffering, and you see those same millions not caring to do anything to change it, you will begin to really see how this world works. It is meant for a certain percentage to rule and another percentage to never even understand how the world works, to always be in that submission position. That is simply the case. Black men who care for sovereignty, who aren't bought over by slight comfort, need to understand that and begin to draw the line between us and the others. I don't have morality for them. I don't have any care for them.
You don't have any morality or care for the others? Interesting. Interesting. You don't have any morality or care for the others because they are effectively slaves, right?
They deserve care. Do they care for themselves? I talked about this before. The reason
This nigga is practically an Aryan. He may not be Aryan in race, but he's Aryan in spirit, goddammit.
I am not a communist is because why would I be a person who wants to liberate the working class when the working class doesn't want to liberate itself? Today, the working class will turn on the working class if the elites will give them small little sprinkles of cash. Are these people really truly loyal to anything? I think the answer is no. And that is probably the eternal truth. There's probably something that's going to be the case forever. So when you think about achieving something like Pan-Africanism, and you think you're supposed to ask everyone what their thoughts on it are, and you're supposed to get the opinion of all, and you need the approval of all, I would remind you that no one asked Africa for permission the last time they brought it all under European rule.
I just realized what that flag actually is. It is like the, can you imagine like an iron eagle, like a German eagle, but it's outlined in red, black, and green. He hasn't really come to the realization that Pan-Africanism just doesn't work. Shout out to 24 Birds with the $5 super chat. Ich bin ein Berliner, nigga. That was a good one. Tell me he does not look like a young German in 1930-something gathering his troops, right? Wouldn't it be crazy if he actually painted those paintings himself? What if he found out, what if we found out later he actually painted those paintings on the wall? Once upon a time, he was an aspiring artist, but then things, you know, his life changed. The pandemic happened.
So when the black righteous men want the entirety of the black race to be under righteous unified rule, we shouldn't be asking questions. We need force.
You said no questions for whoa.
Under righteous unified rule, we shouldn't be asking questions. We need force.
One day he will be the king of niggas. This will be him one day.
Take control. Take control of your city.
I feel he has it in him. There is something about this kid. I sense world domination in his spirit right now. I think he's willing to go all the way. Oh, the white problem. Oh, let's see what the white problem.
The United States of America, as we know it, was meant to be a white nation.
Oh, all right. We already had this one. We were listening to this. Let me skip up ahead. Let me see.
To June 1st, 1921, a white mob of thousands, much of which were federal law enforcement, in other words, working for the Anglo government, looted, burned, and destroyed the entire district.
He's still on his race war. All right, he's trying to race war. There was another video I saw. Let me see. What was it? Join the Zamit security. In case you guys want to join the mission.
My name is Comey Gannon. I am the head of an international movement.
Tell me this nigga isn't a fucking German, bro. Look at this shit. Hugo Boss like a motherfucker, bro. Come on. Tell me this nigga is not a damn German. I think it's just a matter of time. I think reality needs to prove to him the futility of his Marxist race war desire. And the only proper place for that type of vision is in America, right? We need a right-wing America. If you can apply that energy to an American nationalism, you would be epic right now.
Known as the Zamit Consortium, previously known as AFUN. This movement is centered on achieving true sovereignty for our black race. It's about expanding upon the works of our ancestors like Kwame Ture, Marcus Garvey, Sylvanus Olympio, Malcolm X, and many more. Those men lived, fought, and died for us, Righteous men of this race simply have it in their nature to continue this fight and succeed, not in a future generation, but in this one. We in the Zamitist Consortium have worked to gather mass influence amongst like-minded black men of the world to bring them into a common modern movement. We have made articles, held one rally, ultimately made videos and so much more to rally mass support, a big media campaign to spread our ideals. We've done things behind closed doors. I am talking to you today because we must achieve something new. Today, our race faces an expanding threat. We lack a coherent means to defend our population as a whole.
This is just how Adolf started out. Just giving speeches to anybody willing to listen.
There are a growing chance of racial conflict in the U.S. Threats against our brothers, fathers, mothers, sisters are being chanted louder and louder by the hour. This isn't only present in the U.S., this exists throughout the world, in Europe, in Africa, and South America. The most openly invasive chant comes in the phrase total death, something that has been typed over 1 million times on some social media platform. This isn't simply some call for a white homeland and peace around the world, but an imperial ambition to destroy the black race globally.
You're a little too sensitive to be dressed like that, bro. You can't be all dressed for a war and then be all sensitive about a nigga saying some shit on the internet.
Unlike those who would like to behave like sitting ducks and dive deeper into delusion. Black men who have children in majority white neighborhoods and towns, deluding themselves into believing what has occurred thousands of times before, a nation falling into ethnic and racial conflict cannot happen again. I know there are many black men, however, eager to align with other aware and motivated black men to produce deterrence.
I predict in about 10 to 15 years, he will be a colonel in the Graper Army. I'm telling you, he will be a new leader in the next generation of Grapers.
I am inviting you today to join the Zamitist Security of Georgia. This is where I am centered. I'm aware that others will wish to expand the Zamit security to other places. I am totally...
Oh, that's why he all nervous. He down there in Georgia. White people got too many guns down there for him.
Open to making sure that it happens. The main policy for us will be deterrence. When those who view our race as an easy target are faced with an altered reality in which we are a fortified and capable population, their chants will grow quieter because they will see themselves the grave consequences of conflict with us. I am calling to all black men that are motivated and resonate. I do not oppose you if you are from the left or from the right. I only oppose the individualists, the traitors that identify with racial enemies. If you oppose the divisionists and degenerate culture that wishes to degrade our capabilities as a race, you belong here. If you hate...
I wonder if he's ever had a conversation about the banking system. I feel like with a couple of short conversations, we could start to open his mind up to a whole other level of fascism.
The destructive and corrosive nature of liberal policy that's invading our race, you belong here. So if you want to play a role in our racial defense, want to align with other black men of common ideology, join us whenever you are ready, like today, at ZamitistConsortium.com.
You know, it's so weird for me. For a while now, for a couple of years maybe, I've been exploring the idea of being right-wing and black male at the same time, because these are two political positions that are supposed to be oppositional. You're not supposed to be right-wing and black male. That is an exclusive territory for white men. And then I found this young German nigga totally running with the shit. And I'm a little bit tickled. I got to tell you, this shit is kind of amusing to me. It is a little bit hilarious. I cannot deny it. Zamit Beauty. Oh, he's got his own version of Black Fascist Beauty. Black right-wing fascist Kino. Oh no. No. That boy good. Yeah. This is Nick Fuentes. That was the first thing I called him. That is exactly what I called him out the gate. This is Nick Fuentes right here. Black fascist Kino. Let's see if he uses any hip hop. Really going for it though. He really did try it. He really tried it for a minute. We got to break that down frame by frame. Hold on. I'm going to run that back slow because this is a really short video. I noticed some interesting things here. Okay, this looks familiar. I think that is a real statue somewhere in Africa, maybe part of some slave museum thing. These images, not bad. Divine, feminine goddess. Shit, okay. Titties. All right, black women in wedding dresses, muscular black men. Ethnic pride, traditional ethnic warrior. It's probably some North African desert nigga. All right, horses aren't really an African thing, but whatever. And this is what made me pause right here. Greek statuary. Bro, just be proper right wing and just come on around, bro. The Greek statuary. That caught my eye. That is a Roman nigga. Who that nigga right there? All right, those guys look like Arabs to me. Yeah, those look like some Arabs to me. Tribal warriors. He really is. He does understand the vibe of it all. But he's killing me because he's also like, we're gonna be race warring for the race, and I'm like, bruh, I don't think that's a task you want to take on. Come learn about Zamit fascism.
Straight black men have not been the focus of Democrats nor Republicans. Neither Biden, Kamala, or Trump will ever have our population in mind, first, second, third, or ever fourth. In order for our population to have our victory, it will take our own unionization and our own strength and collectivism. Our population has been poisoned by mass degeneration in the media. Our population has been poisoned by ideologies like individualism. We must begin a mass effort against these degenerating policies. We must have our own leadership outside of the Democratic and Republican sphere. We must have a black male leadership and an intellectual leadership, not what they propose, the comedians that they invite to their Democratic national conventions, the rappers that they're inviting to Donald Trump's speeches.
Hey, Bunker, I was trying to tell you, man, black men need to be right wing. It just vibes better. You see, he came out the gate, straight black men, all right? Talking to you, B.
We must develop a leadership again, like we had in the 60s. Those like Kwame Nkrumah, Malcolm X, and perhaps even MLK, if you enjoy someone like that. But we are not to fall into the conservative sides nor the liberal sides. We are to focus on our own victory. If you agree with these sort of ideas, well, on September 8th in Atlanta, there will be a small gathering, a rally, if you will, for people who believe in our sort of policies and these sort of ideas. You can join us, and in order to join us, you can go to the website zamitorder.us to get tickets for this event. Thank you, and hail Zamit.
All right, who the fuck is Zamit? I can't be hailing Zamit if I ain't never met this nigga, bro. What is the Zamit? So many questions.
We're going to discuss the idea of sovereignty and freedom, particularly when it comes to our race. Now, we must understand that the idea of sovereignty itself is not something that all creatures care about. A lot of creatures, even within our population, within the human race as a whole, care simply to eat and sleep. And there is no greater concern within them. And so consider this experiment that happened with Stalin. Stalin once took a hen. He plucked it, took all the feathers off, effectively tortured it. And then it was bleeding. He threw it across the room, and then he threw grain on the ground. And the chicken came back to eat the grain and then began to follow Stalin around. The message of this experiment is to say there's certain creatures that only have a goal of being comfortable at the very moment and have no greater goals outside of that. And so the idea of sovereignty for the black race, you must understand that you, the person who watches this, likely are a member of the small echelons of the race, the minority that make up the population of people who wish to break boundaries and who wish to set new goals and reach new levels.
I really like this kid, bro. The nigga is based. He is so fun. You see, I was talking about this very lack of intellectual probing and depth when it comes to so-called black leadership. And him telling the story of Stalin plucking the chicken was a great analogy, and it's actually really short and to the point, perfect for the black audience, right? But what he's really trying to get at is an idea of everybody won't make it, nor should you expect that everybody somehow deserves to make it. And he's trying to break that kind of slave morality from anybody that listens
who
to
have
it.
ideas in mind and have wills that are not controlled by mere animalistic instincts. People who are controlled by themselves. People who have goals that they choose to will into existence. People with will to power. You have control over your body and not the other way around. There are the lazy and the weak. When it comes to the Zamit race, and the victory of the future. Those of us who have an idea in mind.
The Zamit race. What is the Zamit race? Why is he using that phrase?
Of creating an existence that is nothing like the current day. We simply don't mend with the weak-minded. We don't mend with the lazy. When we propose our sort of ideas to the common man, there simply is no attraction. There simply is no want to what we want from them. They are simply comfortable in the current state. And so they're real-life white man's burdens. They're creatures who don't mind so long as they're enemies. They will mend with their enemies, work with their own enemies, so long as the enemy gives them enough comfort to where it doesn't cause them to have to do anything. And so you must see the specialty in your existence. We live with a consciousness, an awareness that we come from thousands of years of existence and evolution.
Okay, I just figured it out. Let me show this to you guys real quick. Zamit's meaning. The term Zamit originates from the The term Zamit originates from the Iwi language, where it means night skin, derived from Zami, nighttime, and Int, skin. It is used to define a specific racial identity within a movement known as the Zamitist Consortium, which describes a Zamit as a human with dark to brown skin and tight forehair whose ancestors originate from the Zamit continent. This definition is intended to clearly identify who is considered part of the group, emphasizing racial purity and shared origin. Holy crap, he is a racial purist, isn't he? The Zamitist ideology promotes racial sovereignty, asserting that the race's blood, common origin, and destiny supersede other beliefs, including Abrahamic religions introduced to the continent by enemy races. The movement advocates for the preservation of the race by discouraging interracial marriage and mixing, which it claims leads to the production of impure children. While it does not criminalize past relationships, it views those who are accepting of relationships with enemy races as acting subhuman. The movement also promotes a communal belief system rooted in bravery, ambition, and logic, aiming for racial victory. Well, now you know.
And ahead of us is thousands and thousands of years as well. And we are out to ensure that. Within us is something much greater than is within them. We are simply inside of us having an internal conflict. At any and all given moments, we are fighting the flesh. Very similar to how some religions, from the Hindus, with having your higher chakras and lower chakras. In Christianity, being more spiritually devout, to have control over the body, the spirit having control over the body. And within Islam, having discipline, being able to fast, controlling your hunger, and having your will have control over that. These are things that are within the Zamit race, but we have an inspiration that is not of any sort of book. It is from a care for a people and for a care for the world itself, and having ideas in mind that we wish to see come to pass. When we look back, we look at, say, MLK even, we will see that a large percentage of the population opposed even him, who proposed to go the peaceful route when dealing with enemies. Again, you have to think of this. There are those who simply don't care to break boundaries. Many will try to attribute themselves to things like ancient Egypt or Mali and the richest man in history, to tribes in Africa, different sorts of kingdoms throughout the continent. And in fact, even more silly, some people will try to attribute themselves to the Western world. Some will try to attribute themselves to places like America and Western Europe. It's one thing to say, I wish to take from this as they took from the world. It's one thing to say, use whatever resource to bring victory to the Zamit race, and it doesn't really matter who likes it or who doesn't. It's one thing to believe that. It's another thing to truly believe that you are a part of your enemy's world and being the unwanted guest at the table.
Now, this is where the idea falls off the rails, and this is why being such a racial purist and isolationist, especially if you're going to use Africans in Africa to do it, oh God, boy, so much to learn, so much to learn. You're in Georgia, my nigga. Let's start there. You're in Georgia. Anything you do would be American and westernized by definition. It's so baked into the cake, you could never atomically separate it. That being said, your ideas are not really totally out of bounds. I just don't think your vision of a global Black supremacy is going to work the way you want it to work. I think you should focus on westernized American Negro Blacks in that context, right? Because the rest of them, you're just going to have to do the same old colonization that the white man did.
So it brings us to the idea, what about freedom? Does everyone deserve freedom? I would say freedom is within you already. It's either you have it or you don't. The idea of freedom means you do whatever you want. You do whatever you will. Now, a man who is truly free is not held back by physical wants or physical even needs. A man who is truly free would rather die than not be free. And it is that simple. If we look back in history,
I think he has a dangerous conception of freedom. Do as thou wilt is a very dangerous conception of freedom. It is literally the demonic conception of freedom. I think a proper application of the idea of freedom is doing what you should. A man should be free to do whatever he should be, whatever he should do. That is freedom. Like in our founding documents, we have this idea of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That is the freedom, doing whatever you should do. Within that pursuit of happiness, it doesn't mean you go out and murder and steal and all that. Doesn't literally mean do as thou wilt. It's not a bacchanalian orgy here. But you should be free to do the things that you should do.
we'll see there were certain divisions of a certain military that never surrendered, that were entirely willing to rather die, entirely willing to die with that empire than live in a world in which they did not rule themselves at the very minimum. And so when we look at our race, we must realize that we are looking to awaken and strike something within the very best of our race. The ones that matter, the ones who look at the future and would rather die than not bring the future that they want. Those are the ones we must assemble for a great mass effort to bring victory again to the Zamit Black race. That is what we look forward to. That is the path. That is a job at hand. That is a task that we and the entirety of our lives are to be put into. There are pointless ranks. There are the populations that simply don't care for the things that we care for. And so when many of us get involved with arguing with them, I think you misunderstand the analogy trying to teach pigs to fly, and you're simply annoying the pig. There's this constant bickering and arguing, for instance, with women. And
what if uniting the black race globally is teaching pigs to fly, though? I think that's really the issue I take with your global Negro scheme here.
This constant bickering and arguing, for instance, with women. And I think there's this
I would
idea
love to
that
chop it up with him too, though. We probably agree on women, though. That's the easy thing.
Are going to do things that are reasonable, and they were ever meant to do that. It's the equivalent of expecting your dog to do rocket science and then having him drive the rockets and then being upset when it crashes. This is unreasonable. This doesn't make any sense. And so you should understand. You should understand that you've been lied to. The current world, the modern world, has simply lied to you. And it told you that women were supposed to do anything more than they're doing right now. It told you that most men were supposed to do anything more than they're doing right now. It told you that you should expect from creatures who you really shouldn't be expecting much from.
Red Illusion asks, what if the black race was never meant to be united and colonization interrupted a natural process of natural selection? Red, I would actually turn that question on itself. What if colonization is in fact a process of natural selection? How can we leave that out of the grand scheme of the human condition? What if colonization is a product of natural selection among human beings?
And it's led to mass disappointment and mass anger even. Some would even go so far as to engage in arguments with women. And this shows a fundamental misunderstanding of whom you are speaking with. You do not argue with creatures who could not care less. Truly, the deal is this. If you have an enemy, and the enemy can corner them enough, they will happily choose to do whatever is necessary to no longer be seen as an enemy in the enemy's eyes. And so you're dealing with creatures that, again, are not truly capable of any sort of internal will. In order to have any true internal will, certain things are necessary. You must not be doing things out of fear, and you must not be doing things for immediate gratification. You must have your own will in mind, and all other things must be put to the side for that will. Those are the only true beings. Anything outside of that is not a real thing, and thus not deserving of respect and not deserving of any sort of freedom. Freedom is only for things willing to die for it. Anything that is not willing to die for freedom doesn't deserve it. Anything not willing to die for freedom, well, what is the deal?
You see, this is what I mean. I don't think your rhetoric has actually met real Africa. You're just not ready for real Africa, bro.
And I said it from the start. This is advanced darkness. This is heart of darkness. This is the jungle drum. This is the fertility goddess of chaos. They're literally going to eat your balls. They're going to cut your fucking nuts off and eat them.
Whoa, what? They're gonna what?
If, say, we are successful, if, say, we've created something great by our own wonders and by our own mind, something that only we were going to do, and a character.
You know, it's really psychologically just fascinating to watch this play out. He's trying to apply white man's philosophy to advance darkness. I don't think he gets the inherent futility of his entire position in that way. It's maybe there's a reason things are the way they are, and you should simply be fortunate that you are where you are and you are the way you are. this idea that you're somehow going to go save the continent, save Atlanta. If you can become the Grand Marshal of Atlanta, then maybe we can talk, right? Save Atlanta first, all right? You worrying about a whole continent full of niggas that are just way more niggery than you.
That was never involved in that creation. A character that was entirely willing, in fact, to work with creatures who were out to destroy and stop that thing from being created. At what point have they shown any reason to deserve any sort of freedom within that sort of world? Have they earned it? Have they shown any willingness to do anything for that freedom? And the answer is generally going to be no. And so I would say this idea of universal freedom is a very stupid one. In the future that we look forward to, the future of Zamit victory, in the world that we want, what we want is a world.
I've been talking about this idea of forgiving the master, because the only way to truly take on the role of the master is not to kill the master. You actually must forgive the idea of the master. Excuse me, sorry about that. And so this is the problem he's having right here. Listen to what he just said a second ago.
And so I would say this idea of universal freedom is a very stupid one.
If you can inherently believe the idea of universal freedom is in fact stupid, which I'm willing to go with you on that one. I am totally willing to go there with you on that. Then you have to get over colonization and slavery and all the ills that you are motivated by right now. Because in your own heart of hearts, at the core of your black fascist belief, not everyone deserves to be free.
Freedom within that sort of world. Have they earned it? Have they shown any willingness to do anything for that freedom? And the answer is generally going to be no. And so I would say this idea of universal freedom is a very stupid one. In the future that we look forward to, the future of Zamit victory.
Let me share a rough cut of something with you guys here. I think for a certain segment of men, a lot of niggas, the table is eternal. Yeah, I really do. They won't even look at this moment as like, you know how like I've noticed the idea that a man should have power and then be willing to use power to organize his affairs, even if that means hoes mad or whatever, even if that means upsetting his wife. You should be willing to use power. And I think black men are fundamentally uncomfortable with that next level, where not only do I have the power, I actually use the power to create my vision.
Yeah, you got to stop caring if you piss. You got to stop caring if you piss your wife off.
Bro, people with slave morality, right? Power is inherently evil.
There it is.
Right?
When I say, who's the master? You say.
They don't have a concept of ruthless benevolence. That's why I maybe asked this on another panel, but no, it was on Twitter. You know, are there any black leaders that have the ruthlessness to help black people? Right?
Here's the thing. It goes back to slavery, Freeman. Oh, obviously, right? But here's what I'm trying to say. Unless you can forgive your master, you will never be able to become a master. Because how can you now hate yourself for the thing you aspire to be?
You sure look like a master to me. I gotta write that down.
I mean, this is the only way to break slave morality is to forgive the master so you can now become a master. Think about this, right? When you're a ninth grader, you go into ninth grade. 12th graders are effectively grown men as a ninth grader, right? And what happens with ninth graders and 12th graders? Hazing and bullying, high school ritual shit. Really, the juniors get you the worst, right? But
well, shit.
You understand what I'm saying, though.
Yes, there was hazing. The seniors would haze the shit out of the freshmen.
Right, and so now you've put your years in, and you are now a senior. You have to become the master eventually. It is the only path to development. That's how you grow. You become the master.
In the world that we want, what we want is a world of true and proper hierarchy. What we want is a world in which the best of us, those who in hard times and good times have total and entire commitment to the ideals nonetheless, those are the people who matter the most. In these times of the black race, of hard times, there are those who are simply shaken. And those who, if they were, well, I guess you could say are in charge at the moment, in hard times, in the moment of fear, will work with their own enemies. And so in the ideal Zamit state, an ideal Zamit world, a galactic world, a galactic state, a galactic union.
Not the galaxy, bro. He wants a galactic Negro empire.
Of people within our race. We want the most strong-hearted.
He gonna take Wakanda out into the stars, bro. You know Wakanda has a galactic empire now in Marvel Universe, right?
We want the most strong-minded. Those who have an indomitable will are the best of our race. Those who, no matter what, will stick to the plan, stick to the ideals, who have a source of fire within them, no matter the condition. Those are the only ones who truly matter. Those are the only real people. What use is it talking to something that you program? What use is it talking to something that fears you? What use is it talking to something that you simply buy with a gift? Simply buy with fear? Simply buy with whatever else it is? There is no purpose in such creatures. You cannot have true partnership with such creatures.
And again, the interesting thing about this guy is like everything that you utter and think and believe is inherently contradictory in a major way. I'll believe that there for a second. But everything he thinks and believes in a major way has a huge contradiction because your entire core fundamental being is effectively a Nietzsche-esque will to power. Yet, I was watching a video the other day. What is African philosophy? Have any of you guys ever heard of such a thing? I don't think he understands how truly Western and therefore internally white he actually is. There is a deep internal conflict raging in him like an old burrito. There's just a horrible, horrible internal conflict going on right now. You can either be Nietzsche or a nigga, bro. And all men must choose. Even niggas, bro. All niggas have to choose. You say, what characteristics is his ideology centered on? Is it just skin color? What plan or grand ideal is he speaking about? Or is this just racial gibberish? It's mostly racial gibberish with a thin veneer of a Nietzsche-esque will to power kind of belief. But let's get back to the online definition here. The Zamitist ideology promotes racial sovereignty. Oh, wait, we read that part. The term Zamit is also associated with a broader online movement, sometimes described as a form of black fascism or black supremacy, characterized by right-wing views, opposition to interracial relationships, and focus on uniting sub-Saharan Africa, African communities in the southern United States, and black Caribbean nations under a single banner. This movement has been linked to ideologies like Afunism, which calls for a fascist-style state to unify the Zamit race and prioritize racial strength and unity above all else. The movement has gained some traction on social media platforms like TikTok and Reddit. That's hilarious. Though it is often described as niche or meme-driven phenomenon with limited political or philosophical influence. Yeah, very, very niche. Incredibly niche. And so, yeah, SKC, it is basically, it's mostly racial bullshit. But because he has the a working understanding of fascist concepts, he can kind of sell it a little bit. Because fascism in and of itself has a magnetism. If you can just get the imagery right, the imagery alone is powerful, right? He even tried his hand at a little bit of a pro-black right-wing fascist kino. Wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. But yeah, ideologically, philosophically, he's conflicted. He's internally conflicted. He is thoroughly Western man, effectively raging against Westernism. And this is, I think, maybe the philosophical problem. He sees the white man as an opponent of the black man for all the alleged crimes that have been done against black people. However, I would argue to him, much like in the high school analogy I used a minute ago, imagine that as the price we paid to become modern Western civilized black people. All of the black people around the world, by and large, have been copying the black American aesthetic. Not just because we were black, but because we were American as well. The power and the position played into our favor in that way. And so I think, and this is kind of what I mean about like forgiving the master, quote unquote. The price you pay for greatness is a lot of blood, bro. It simply is. It's never not been that way. This is how it has to be, because this is what we are as living, breathing creatures. The price we pay for our greatness right now as Black Americans is blood. And you make peace with that. You don't lick your wound forever. The wound will never heal at that point. Hood, have you seen the new PBD on Jubilee? I usually hate their shows, but this one was actually good. You got to cover it, bro. Back to the clouds. Stop crying, David. Chicago will be fine. Yeah, I haven't even noticed David crying again, but shout out to Free Zone Lou with the $10 super chat. I'm not a big fan of PBD, so I've been watching the clips because they pop up on my feed, but I mean, maybe we'll look at it. Shout out to you though with the $10 super chat. Smash that super chat button, y'all.
Hulk! Smash! Smash you! You make Hulk angry. You not like Hulk angry. Hulk no like fighting girls.
Yeah, he's basically dreaming of a Negro empire. He wants to unite Southern America, which I guess would be like Georgia, Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, Africa, and the Caribbean. I mean, hell, why not parts of South America? Maybe, rescue some of them Brazilian niggas while you're at it. Some of those niggas are black.
To end this rather quick video off, which at least seems to be rather quick to me, I would say again, in this current day, we see a world that is not ideal for us. In this current day, we see a world that is quite frankly disgusting. We see a world that we could not care less for. We see a world that needs changing. For the Zamit man, like myself, for the Zamit man that fits the description, those who don't need others to agree before doing greatness, those who, in the darkness, when no one is looking, still have the ideals that they have, those who don't have ideals based off of fear. If you are a Zamit, a black man in the current day, in a world where everything wishes to point you towards self-destruction and degeneracy, and you have still managed to still be the ideal, you have managed to still look forward to the future and to build, you are an upper echelon of our population. You have outdone already the past generations. And it is only once this population of black men are in absolute control that we will see something that truly rivals the Malian empires, something that truly rivals ancient Egypt. It was you, the sort of black man who is of the upper echelon today, that would have been of the upper echelon back then as well. It was you who made that. And it's you who will make it again. And so we will simply
say he owns samurai swords and Pokemon cards, bro. Oh, I'm weak. Nigga be in the yard practicing. Him and James Lindsay in the same sword owning club.
Continue on this path to create a great effort amongst the greatest of our population to ensure a victory and to ensure that we succeed in ridding the existence of the current world, ridding the toxins of the old order, ridding the toxins of these last 400 years of failure. And so we can create an eternity of absolute success, absolute victory, and ensure greatness and an existence worthwhile for those that are with us.
Total nigga victory. Hail Zamit. Oh my God, this is an amazing young guy right here. Shout out to Total Nigga Victory, man. TNV, bro. TNV. Not gonna stop till we reach TNV. Dick Dog with a $5 super chat. I'm trying really hard not to believe in reincarnation. Who you think that's Malcolm? You think Malcolm came back? You think Malcolm came back as the young Zamit fascist revolutionary plotting a global total nigga victory? Free Zone with the $10 super chat. He sounds like a nigga Greta Thunberg. He is a little woke though, no lie. No lie, he is a little bit woke. He's still my guy, but he needs a little seasoning. He needs some of his ideology to be like broken on the shores of reality. Why couldn't it be Mustache Guy? Oh, whoa. I didn't realize the vision of your idea there. That's a grand vision. Do you think Hitler would have came back as a young black guy from Georgia? Do you think that was all a part of his grand plan for the 1,000-year Reich? I mean, listen, Germans are clever. They're clever, crafty people. What if that was really the secret plan? What if he worked it out with all the German occultists, and he said the only way to really pull off the 1,000-year Reich is to reincarnate as a young Black American man. And that is how you achieve total global Zamit victory. Total global Zamit victory. I don't know. It's possible. It's possible. All things are possible, bro.
Nigga, please. Serious.
Hail EBT. Bro, come on, man. You got to put some spec on this game. Listen, Free Zone. This is the young right-wing future of the community right here. This is the guy. He not on none of that dashiki wearing, burning incense and sage bullshit. He wants to unite the Negro Empire under a fascist right-wing empire. None of that woke LGBT stuff. He wants smart Black men leading in all capacities. He is the future. He is the future of the Black movement. The Blitzkrieg. No. Schwarzkrieg. That's how you say it in proper German. It's a Schwarzkrieg. It was Adolf's final gambit. He's going to make fascism a Black thing, therefore making it cool. Gotta think, nigga. I'm trying to tell you, this shit is chess, not checkers. Once you make fascism a Black thing, it becomes cool. See, white guys, you worked out the ideology. You kind of rubbed out the rough parts. You got the nice fascist aesthetic part worked out. Great, awesome. He borrowed all of that. He's running with all of that, right? Now what we need is a proper media campaign. You have the structure. You have core fundamentals, right? You have all the fundamentals of greatness. What you need is niggas to sell it to other niggas. That's how it's always been done. Once you do that, it becomes cool. It becomes a part of the culture. We got to get him some first of all, we got to let him season a little bit. He's not ready. He's still in the young race war phase of his life. It's a phase a lot of young Black men go through. A lot of young niggas they just born on the left. They can't help it. If he can manage to actually confront the realities of things, you can still be a fascist. You can still be right-wing. You're just going to have to become something like an American nationalist in your fascism. Because there is no other place for you to go, bro. To those Africans, you're basically a white man with dark skin. Like I said, I don't know if you're ready for real Africa. You know what? Maybe that's a better role for him. Maybe can be some kind of communications minister. Malik Goebbels. That's how you do that. Malik Goebbels. There's a place for you, man. I'm telling you. You just stay on the course, bro. There's a place for you in the future of right-wing America. You just got to work it out. You just got to work it out. We'll get there. We're going to get there together, man. But you know what? I'm going to wrap this one up. I'm going to start getting ready. I got to get up out of here, guys. Thank y'all so much for coming through today. Please do me a favor. Do me a good, solid favor. And a couple of y'all, make sure you touch that little like button. I need somebody to put a thumb on that thumb. Touch the like button for me. Maybe throw another $1 in the pot as you make your way out the door. Please grace the collection plate as you make your way out the door.
Come on, share your dollar. Give me your dollar. Share your dollar with me. Come on.
But we got to wrap this one out. Shout out to Trump invading Chicago. The Negro Empire is making its last stand. But if Chicago falls, there is hope. There is a new hope. A new hope is born, okay? The Zamit future awaits you. All the black refugees of the Negro Empire, when Chicago falls, the Zamit Empire awaits you. You can rebuild. You can gather in the Zamit Empire in the hills of Georgia, and you can start over again under the leadership of Nig Fuentes. Y'all have a great night.
Take control. Take control of your city.
Aspiring to be patriarchs like what white men have, that isn't freedom. That isn't going to help anybody. It's certainly not going to help black people.
It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done.
None of these niggas have motion except for me. There has to be one real nigga left in America, in this damn country.